Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage I, Naruto becomes stronger by God reward working system. Chapter 61. In this battle between Sasuke and Neji, Neji won with a slight advantage. After all, Sasuke cannot use large-scale ninjutsu. Sasuke still learned several A-level ninjutsu from Naruto, including the Rasengan. In terms of ninjutsu, Sasuke made rapid progress because of Naruto's guidance. And Naruto also made a lot of suggestions on Neji's physical skills. After all, Naruto is growing all the time. If it weren't for the current age, Naruto's progress would be even more terrifying. As for the soft fist, Naruto had no way, and the suggestions he made were only about what he knew in his previous life, but it also made Neji gain a lot. Especially after getting Naruto's training method on chakra control, Neji's control of chakra has reached a higher level, and from a few words from Naruto, he realized the main family's soft fist method of returning to the sky. This is a ninjutsu that only the main family's senior ninja can practice. Through Zhou Shen's chakra points, it releases high-intensity chakra, and resists attacks and defenses through rotation. You can also attack with this trick, but you need to get close to the target. In addition, under Naruto's suggestion, Neji tried to form the chakra released from the outer layer into a chakra blade. This is a change in the form of chakra, similar to Naruto's Heavy Rain Rasengan, but it is more difficult for Neji to condense it into a blade. It is expected to be mastered before graduation. After the two fought, the surroundings were already a mess, but fortunately, after cleaning up the environment, it still looked like a place for a battle between middle and lower ninjas. With the strength of the two, it is not surprising that they are middle ninjas, and the village will not doubt too much. After all, both of them are geniuses and often practice together. It would be abnormal if they don't have some strength. However, the strength they show now is still within the normal range. The battle between the two has stopped, and the two sat together panting, watching Naruto try to practice what he called the wind control technique. That is, flying ninjutsu. In the ninja world, the number of flying ninjutsu is as rare as space ninjutsu. As far as they know, only the third generation of Tsuchikage can fly. The two of them don't know that there are ninjas who can fly in the Star Ninja Village. The ninjas of the Star Ninja Village rely on the stars to cultivate a large amount of chakra, so as to use the peacock magic to achieve flight. The peacock technique is a ninjutsu suitable for those with large amounts of chakra. At this moment, the two suddenly discovered that Naruto was actually floating cross-legged. Their eyes instantly widened and their pupils contracted. Expressions of disbelief appeared on their faces. Did Naruto really succeed? If Naruto knew that the two had always been skeptical that Naruto could perform a flying ninjutsu in a short period of time, he would definitely give them two slaps. Bang! A slight sound was heard, and it turned out that Naruto lost his balance and fell down. This made the two frown. Could it be that this ninjutsu has not been truly completed yet? At this moment, Naruto's brows were also furrowed, but the voice in his mind was still ringing, indicating that he had not taken the wrong path. Wind control technique +4, wind control technique +3. He kept thinking, and his ability to work hard was constantly activated. What exactly is the problem? Naruto frowned, constantly thinking about what he had missed, but he always felt that something was missing. Ideas came into his mind one by one, and suddenly Naruto felt as if there was a light in his mind. That's it. With the help of wind flow and pressure effects, a vortex is formed. Before, I was too obsessed with gravity and using the power of wind to forcibly break away from the ground. Chakra forms external wind, floats on the flow surface, and constantly changes the direction of wind according to the external force to maintain balance. Just like the plane in the previous life, Naruto started trying again, and the chakra in his body was constantly mobilized to implement it. It is always more troublesome to do than you think. But the action also gains more. Wind controlling technique +1. Naruto's understanding and ideas about wind controlling technique became clearer and clearer. If he didn't have the ability of Heaven's Way rewards hard work, even if Naruto had the idea, it would take several years to develop this ninjutsu. Because it involves a lot of knowledge, Heaven's Way rewards hard work is like an epiphany that reveals a little bit of insight in Naruto's mind. No, the chakra output method needs to be changed. It wastes too much chakra. Naruto's practice of wind control is like a progress bar, constantly advancing. Kurama, lend me some chakra. Naruto appeared in the spiritual space and said to the Nine Tails. At this moment, the spiritual space has undergone earth-shaking changes. It no longer looks like a dark underground sewer. It looks sunny, but the big cage looks quite unsightly. But fortunately, Naruto has enough mental power to transform the big cage, and it has become the current super large shape. The Nine Tails can move its body easily in it. It is no longer squeezed like before and can't even squat. Naruto, if you use my chakra, the people of Konoha will find out. Kyuubi opened his eyes and said seriously. Kurama, don't worry. Naruto suddenly slapped the ground with his palm, and as the black seal rune spread, a small barrier was formed. Look, there's nothing wrong with this. Naruto waved his hand and said. What a great brat. Kyuubi was surprised. He saw everything Naruto did and couldn't help but think of the Six-Path Sage again. A young man would call out the names of the nine-tailed beasts and bring peace to the ninja world. Take it and go. I'm going to sleep. Then he fell asleep on the ground. Red chakra gradually flowed out of Naruto's body. Sasuke and Neji, who were wondering why Naruto used the barrier technique, understood after seeing this scene. It seemed that Naruto's training consumed too much chakra, so he had to rely on the power of the nine-tailed fox. The two were familiar with the matter of the tailed beasts, and Naruto had told them a long time ago. At this moment, Naruto planned to use the inspiration in his mind to complete the practice of the wind control technique. With the cooperation of the nine-tailed fox, this chakra became much tamer, but there was still a violent breath on it. However, Naruto's current chakra control was enough to control this power. Suddenly, a huge airflow blew up from Naruto's body, and the whole person flew straight into the sky. Directly rushed to the top of the barrier. I was careless. Fortunately, it was not a simple breath-isolating barrier, otherwise I would have probably flown out. Naruto adjusted the amount again and began to fly forward, but it was difficult to control the direction. In the next few days, Naruto continued to practice wind control. After Naruto solved the problem of direction control, he found that too fast speed would form wind blades, which would be slightly painful when scraping the skin. Adjusted again, covered with a layer of chakra, and solved it. After a few days, Naruto found that there was a lot of chakra wasted again. Wind controlling technique +6, wind controlling technique +7. With the blessing of God's way of hard work, Naruto began to constantly improve. 5 days later, Naruto was able to do it as if he were using his arms and fingers. The wind controlling technique had been perfected. Sasuke and Neji looked at Naruto with reflective eyes. They watched step by step how Naruto perfected the wind control technique. Gradually, they changed from being incredulous to being full of envy. This is flying. Even cage-level warriors don't have the ability to fly. The third Tsuchikage said it was flying, but it should be called levitation. It's just that he used the light and heavy rock technique to eliminate gravity, and then used chakra control to achieve the effect of flying. It's simply incomparable to Naruto's flying ability. Sasuke took a deep breath and said with eagerness, Naruto, can you teach me this technique? Looking at Hyuga Neji, who also had an eager look on his face, Naruto smiled and said, why, you want to learn? I'll teach you. Looking at the two people nodding their heads frantically, Naruto couldn't help but feel that pretending to be cool is really cool. I can teach you, but I have to tell you something regrettable. My wind controlling technique requires wind attribute chakra first. As for you, Sasuke, it's fire and lightning chakra. As for Neji, if I remember correctly, you have fire, water and earth attributes. If you want to learn, go and cultivate the wind attribute chakra first. As soon as Naruto finished speaking, the two of them couldn't help but smile bitterly. Having followed Naruto for so long, and often being asked by Naruto to cultivate and acquire various knowledge, the two of them are no longer ignorant people. They have already surpassed the students of the ninja school by who knows how much, both in terms of strength and knowledge. The cultivation of chakra attributes is a subject that only the senior ninjas cultivate. If you master the nature of chakra, you can basically cultivate the chakra attributes. Everyone is born with at least one attribute. If there is a corresponding chakra attribute in the body, it will make it easier to release the ninjutsu of the same attribute. Less chakra is consumed. Kakashi, who is said to have learned thousands of ninjutsu, has mastered 5 changes in chakra properties. In fact, the original chakra attributes of Kakashi were thunder, earth, and water. Among them, he was most proficient in thunder escape. The wind attribute and fire attribute were later. He is not very proficient in the copy ninjutsu he has practiced. Although he knows it, the power of the ninjutsu he is not proficient in does not become much stronger except for increasing the consumption of chakra when fighting against the enemy. In addition, Kakashi has always been a big mana consumer, so where would he find the time to practice the 5 ninjutsu? It is better to choose to master 1 or 2. In the ninja world, it is basically like this. The wars that have broken out all year round and the complicated tasks do not allow them to master all the abilities. This will only make them know all the abilities, but be extremely mediocre. What suits you is the most important. Now Sasuke and Neji know that practicing the wind-attributed chakra property change may take up most of their time, but the ability to fly is so tempting that they don't want to give up. So the two nodded to each other and said, "No problem, we will practice this ninjutsu." Decided. You should know that practicing this ninjutsu may slow down your speed of becoming stronger, and it will take at least half a year. Naruto's words made the two of them feel nervous, and then Naruto's words made them feel relieved again. But don't worry, although practicing the wind control technique wastes a little of your time, it is really powerful in saving your life. If you can't beat them, just fly into the sky. The enemy has no way to deal with them yet, Naruto said with a smile. At the same time, the two of them were more determined to practice the wind control technique. Very good. Since you want to practice wind control, I can tell you a way to save a little time. You can use shadow clones to practice. Shadow clones can share the experience of practice with the original body, but you may not be able to bear the information after the release, so I suggest that you use at most 2 shadow clones to practice. Naruto explained. Not everyone is as thick-skinned as him. The original Naruto was thick-skinned, but he didn't know it now, but his huge mental strength was enough for him to easily bear the pressure of the information sent back. Hearing Naruto's words, people were suddenly shocked. Why didn't they think of this? They just used shadow clones to skip classes to practice before. In fact, they have already started to use shadow clones to practice, but they haven't thought of using shadow clones to practice ninjutsu. When Naruto mentioned it, the two of them instantly figured out the key. 2 shadow clones are enough to shorten the time by 2/3, that is to say, at most 2 months, the two can control wind control. Time went by day, and no one noticed these teenagers who were growing at an abnormal speed. Especially with sufficient resources, endless opportunities ahead, and Naruto's guidance, the two were no longer on the same level as in the original work. With their current strength, they can already rival the Jonin. You have to know how old they are now, just 10-year-old and 11-year-old teenagers. Naruto looked at the two of them, and they were a little more mature and taller than a few months ago. Their skin had turned bronze. The two successfully mastered the wind control technique, but because of their chakra and proficiency, their flying speed was not as fast as Naruto's, and their endurance was not as good as Naruto's. After all, Chadenla was not a joke. At the same time, the two's iron blocks, indestructible golden bodies, had reached the realm of bronze bodies, and this was also because they had already started to practice weight-bearing at this time. And Naruto was not idle in the past few months. He successfully upgraded the shadow clone technique. Considering that the shadow clone was too fragile, Naruto studied the upgraded version of the shadow clone with reference to the wood clone. Not only did it have the ability to withstand blows, but its existence time was also greatly increased. What's a pity is that their strength is only half of the original body, and there can't be too many of them. At the same time, they can't use the moves of the indestructible golden body. After all, their predecessor was a shadow clone, which is understandable. As for Rock Lee, he has been practicing with Might Guy recently. According to Rock Lee, Might Guy recently began to teach him a very powerful forbidden technique. Naruto knew that this should be the beginning of teaching Rock Lee to practice the 8 gates. Now Rock Lee's strength has slowly fallen behind Sasuke and Neji, although there are 6 styles. But the 6 styles are also physical skills, and they all take time. With the 8 gates, Rock Lee's strength can be improved in a short time. According to Rock Lee's current physical fitness, opening 4 gates should not be a problem. When the plot begins 2.5 years later, he should be able to open 6 gates. As for the 7 gates, it is estimated that it is a bit uncertain. After all, the 8 gates will become more and more difficult to practice later. Might. Guy also practiced for more than 20 years before he reached the level of opening 8 gates. Everyone has different talents. Kai has a talent for physical skills and works very hard to practice. Lee is about the same as Kai. As for who has better talent, Naruto doesn't know. However, Lee practices both the indestructible body and the 8 gates at the same time. The physical strength of the indestructible body can reduce the side effects of the 8 gates, so he should be able to reach a higher level. The first thing that the 8 gates of Dunjia requires is that the user must have a strong body to use it. Otherwise, it is impossible to bear the burden of opening the 8 gates. When Naruto created the indestructible golden body, he considered physical training. The methods of physical training in the ninja world are very rough, so ninjas are high in attack and low in defense. Only a few ninjas have strong bodies. Therefore, when Naruto developed the indestructible golden body, he referred to various physical training methods in the novels of his previous life. But that kind of body that can destroy the world is simply unrealistic in the ninja world, but Naruto also gained something. Through the method of physical blood and chakra stimulation, he formed a unique practice method. Therefore, the practice of the indestructible golden body was separated from the iron block by Naruto. It is not very appropriate to call it an iron block. It is simply named after the highest realm of the indestructible golden body. The essence is the transition of the physical body and the strengthening of cells. In Naruto's conception, if you want to successfully practice the indestructible golden body, you may have to draw natural energy into the physical body. This is a bit similar to the Sage mode. Turning on the Sage mode can greatly increase the user's chakra strength, physical body and the power of ninjutsu. But the indestructible golden body is a pure physical ninjutsu. It mainly improves defense and strength, as well as healing and recovery, and follows the physical technique route. But naturally, Naruto hasn't been exposed to it for the time being, so the practice of the indestructible golden body has temporarily stopped at the golden body stage. Shaoli practices the indestructible golden body and the 8 gates at the same time. In the future, he may not be able to get the realm of entering the 6 paths without opening the 8th gate of death. It is estimated that opening the 8 gates can beat ordinary 6 paths level existences. However, we have to find a way to eliminate the side effects of opening the 8 gates, otherwise he will die after using it once. Who can accept this? At least Naruto himself can't accept it. Even if the moment of blooming is dazzling. In the land of wind, Naruto walked slowly in the desert. This figure is Naruto's upgraded shadow clone. Before coming out, Naruto asked the 9 tails for a large amount of chakra, just for the action at this moment. Now Naruto's shadow clone is just like the wood-style wood clone, and he is not stingy with the amount of chakra. And the reason why Naruto came to the land of wind this time is actually for Gaara. That's right, it's Gaara. It's getting closer and closer to the beginning of the original plot, and Naruto plans to contact Gaara in advance. Even though Naruto is only half the strength of the original body now, with the blessing of Tiondo Chukin in the past few years, Naruto doesn't know what level he has reached. Anyway, he is constantly getting stronger. With the inspiration brought by Tiondo Chukin, Naruto feels that except for the lack of combat experience, Naruto can compete with the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen for the title of Ninjutsu Doctor. Of course, Naruto doesn't think he can completely suppress Sarutobi Hiruzen in ninjutsu. After all, he hasn't lived for decades in vain, but Naruto has a huge amount of chakra, and he can completely rely on the amount of chakra to drag his opponent to death. The premise is that they don't perish together with their opponents. Naruto estimates that with his current strength, he should not be a match for the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen without the 9 tails power. Naruto has the advantage in physical skills, and the 3rd Hokage is definitely stronger in ninjutsu. As for chakra, the 3rd Hokage is not even worthy of carrying Naruto's shoes. But the 3rd Hokage is cunning and experienced, and who knows what cards he has hidden, such as the Shiki Fujin. Even Danzo has the trump card of inner 4 symbols sealing technique, but it's a pity that the original work is too useless. This place is even poorer than I imagined. Naruto was flying aimlessly in the yellow sand. The Kingdom of Wind was even poorer than he knew. No wonder Sand Village had to rely on the gold panning of a village's shadow to maintain the development of a village. The reputation of the Kingdom of Wind was really deducted, and Luosh's character was relatively weak. It was not like the Kingdom of Thunder, where basically the Thunder Shadow had the final say. There was a shortage of water in the desert, but fortunately Naruto knew water escape ninjutsu. In the desert, Naruto found that it took several times more chakra to use a water escape ninjutsu with the same rules. The power of using water escape in the Kingdom of Wind and using it in the Kingdom of Water could be 10 times different. Naruto looked at the map in his hand, which marked the location of the Sand Village and some oases. It was still a long way to Sand Village, but it was very close to the oasis. Naruto immediately decided to go to the oasis to rest. The wind and sand all over the sky made him feel a little uncomfortable. In general, it was because of the water and soil. In order to save chakra, Naruto immediately stopped and walked on foot. Suddenly a big black scorpion came out of the ground and attacked Naruto. Wind style. Wind cutting. Naruto had already spotted the giant scorpion and was shocked at first. After all, he had never seen such a big scorpion in his past life. But then he found that it was not very strong, and he got used to it. Not only the giant black scorpion, but there are also ants in this desert that can bite people to death. Naruto encountered it once. It was a black patch, just like the desert marching ants that Naruto saw in movies and TV shows in his past life. Naruto flew away and did not provoke them, although he could beat them. He would not admit that he had intensive phobia. Of course, in addition to ants, there are also sandstorms and sandworms. Naruto also met some ordinary businessmen from the Kingdom of Wind, but he did not talk too much. Others were also very wary of him, probably because they saw maybe it was because he was not a native of the Kingdom of Wind. Naruto continued to move forward, and soon he saw a hint of green on the horizon. The long-lost green made him seem a little happy. That's the oasis. Suddenly, Naruto felt something was wrong. A huge sandstorm appeared in the distance and blew towards this side. What surprised Naruto was that there was a caravan on the other side of the sandstorm. They seemed very panicked, but orderly. There should be a very experienced person in it. But their speed was obviously not as fast as the sandstorm. Naruto looked at the sandstorm. It was next to the oasis, not facing the oasis. But if he didn't take action, the group of people would be dead. And saving them would obviously consume chakra. On the caravan side, a middle-aged man who looked experienced shouted loudly, "Hurry! Go, we will be safe when we reach the oasis." A trembling voice came, "Old Owl. It's too late. We are not advancing as fast as the dust." Looking at the people who were beginning to get restless, Old Owl yelled with all his strength, "Gather all the goods, hold hands, and put the camels on the periphery. And put stakes on them." Old Owl knew that his method could only save some people at most, and the role of camels in the desert was particularly important. His heart was bleeding if he gave up the camels. Under Old Owl's command, everyone held hands to increase the weight. The sandstorm was approaching at this moment, and some of the goods had begun to be blown away, and even some people were blown away, but they were held by the people below. Earth escape, earth formation wall. Wind style. Vacuum wave. Suddenly, a circular earth wall was erected in front of everyone, covering them all. The people who were blown up immediately fell down. The sandstorm outside, whose core was broken by Naruto, began to dissipate. After thinking about it, Naruto decided to rescue these people. Outside the oasis, the huge sandstorm gradually dissipated, and the regularity inside was broken, so the sandstorm naturally could not be sustained. The dissipation of the sandstorm also allowed some people to gradually calm down from panic, followed by a sense of joy after surviving a disaster. In addition to the loss of a little bit of goods, there was no big loss. At this time, Old Owl walked in front of Naruto. He knew that Naruto was a powerful ninja, but he was not very tall. But it didn't matter. After all, the person in front of them could be regarded as their great benefactor. As Old Owl stepped forward, everyone also saw a figure wearing a bamboo hat and a long robe. He looked about 1.6 meters tall, not tall, but everyone did not dare to be disrespectful. Because the person in front of them was not only their savior, but also a powerful ninja. Even if they didn't know much about the strength of ninjas, they knew that the adult in front of them must be a jonin. Because the sandstorm just now could not be solved without the strength of a Jonin. Old Owl walked up to Naruto and said excitedly, "Thank you for saving my life, I really can't repay you." Naruto nodded and gestured. The Old Owl in front of him was a middle-aged man in Naruto's previous life, but in the ninja world where the average age is less than 40 years old, he can be called an old man. After all, wars often break out in the ninja world, and the living conditions of civilians are not very good. Although there has been industrial development, some places are still the kind of feudal aristocratic society, and the lives of civilians are not very good. Therefore, few people can live to the end of their lives. It is also because people in the ninja world develop very quickly. In the ninja world, a girl of 8 years old is equivalent to about 13 or 14 years old in Naruto's previous life. In the Naruto world, a 12-year-old boy is basically independent. 16 years old is considered an adult, and you can already marry and have children. I wonder if you are a ninja from the Sand Village? Old Owl asked carefully. Naruto shook his head and said, "Don't guess. I am not a ninja from the Sand Village. I just came to the desert to practice this time. Let's go to the oasis quickly, we'll see you later." Naruto didn't say much. It was not a good thing for a ninja from another village to appear in the Sand Village. But Old Owl wanted to say something, but Naruto had already disappeared using the instant body technique. A sturdy young man next to him looked at the dazed Old Owl and said, "Old Owl, these are ninjas from other villages. Do we need to report them to the village? What if they are here to spy on our village's intelligence?" "Shut up, Shingo," Old Owl interrupted him and said, "No matter which village this ninja is from, we can't repay kindness with enmity. If it weren't for that ninja just now, at least half of us wouldn't have survived. We are just ordinary people, but we also have our sense of loyalty. Even if I have to sacrifice my life for saving my life, it doesn't matter. Not everyone except the villagers is a bad person. Do you still remember how our life came about?" Although Old Owl is old, his voice is loud, steady and convincing. The young man was a little ashamed. Yes, it's not that everyone except his own country is a bad person. Their lives are much better now than before. Although they are a little busy now, it is better than working in the village and getting less wages. It's not like now, you can be idle for half a month after going out. This is all thanks to the help of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. They said this is called franchising. He didn't understand what franchising meant, but it sounded very profound. They authorized the brand to them and provided interest-free loans. They are simply great philanthropists. Moreover, they also signed a confidentiality contract. There are also some preferential policies for joining the umbrella organization, and the umbrella organization will not force you to do anything. You can get preferential treatment, and the umbrella organization is not a cult. Why not join? So he became a member of the glorious umbrella. As for why it is glorious, it was the person who brought him to join the umbrella. In the future, he will be proud of the umbrella. Old Owl took out a book from his arms, with a few big words printed on it. Red thought. Have you forgotten the organization's teachings? Think more, don't be blind, read more books, and you will be enlightened. That's right. Old Owl is also a glorious member of the umbrella, and Old Owl is also an indigo level member. Old Owl was daring when he was young, and he was also smart, so he had more prestige among them. He was also the first to contact the umbrella organization, and their caravan was also organized by him, most of whom were villagers from the same village. After joining the umbrella, Old Owl was gradually baptized by the Red Thought and regarded it as a classic. Abandoning the will of the wind that he had insisted on before. Old Owl, who was impacted by the torrent of thoughts, began to form his own caravan, and as an indigo level member, Old Owl would receive help from the organization. It also began to bring wealth to the village, and let the barren land of the wind country begin to have different colors. After that, the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce began to station in the wind country one after another, but because of the bad weather in the wind country, it could not be expanded to the entire wind country. There are also walking merchants like Old Owl. The young man said with shame, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. The young man in front of me has never been to school. Only Old Owl has been around a lot when he was young and can read." After Old Owl joined the umbrella organization, he began to teach these illiterate young people to read. Old Owl often explained the contents of the book to them and made them yearn for it. Is it really as beautiful as described in the book? Whenever they asked, Old Owl would proudly say, "This is what we are doing in the Umbrella Organization." The meaning of the existence of the Umbrella Organization. The Umbrella Organization will naturally not care about the most basic members of the Umbrella Organization, because they are of no value, and only some valuable people will get the help of the Umbrella Organization. For example, Old Owl, if Old Owl's caravan had a greater influence, he would probably be upgraded and become a blue level member. The most basic members are just registered for level, and the Umbrella Organization will not care too much, and there are no restrictions. On the contrary, there are benefits for those who join. As for those who reach the indigo level, each person will be given a red thought. And there may be only one indigo level talent among 100 purple level people. Indigo level talents can truly be regarded as members of the Umbrella Organization. Only blue level talents can know where the organization's branch bases are, and they must also be bound by the organization and help the organization develop. They are the backbone of the organization. When you reach the green level, you can be regarded as the upper middle level talents of the organization. You can know where the organization's main base is, and you can go to the headquarters to participate in the joining activities. This was arranged by Naruto in order to increase the sense of cohesion and belonging of the members. Shisui didn't quite understand it, but it was very useful. Old Owl didn't know much, he only knew some things about the blue level, and he was eager to become a member of the Blue Umbrella. After becoming a member of the Blue Umbrella, he would know the treatment and responsibilities of the next level. He was eager to join and fight for it, just because of the book in his hand. Naruto didn't know that the Old Owl just now was a member of the Umbrella. If he knew, he would probably sigh. Transform the ninja world, pursue dreams and longevity, and witness everything at the top. With goals and plans in mind, Naruto is not confused. Even if the future is bumpy, it is also a kind of fun. After all, this is life. At this moment, Naruto has come to the oasis to rest, and when he entered the oasis, he used the transformation technique to become a very ordinary man from the Wind Country with the appearance of all living beings. That is what modern people call a popular face. You look like anyone and look like no one. Isn't it a popular face? You can't find that kind of face in the crowd. How can you be as handsome as the readers? Naruto rested for a while and then set out on the road to the Sand Village again. He didn't use his flying ability to fly, after all, he had to keep his chakra. Although Naruto not only used his own chakra this time, but also asked the Nine Tails for a ball of chakra, he still had to save it. In case of any situation, he would have enough chakra and confidence. Before coming, Naruto also used a sealing technique to isolate the detection of the perception and make Naruto's chakra fluctuations unable to be captured by others. It only lasted for a month and dissipated automatically after a month. But it was enough. Naruto walked quickly on the road and began to feel the throbbing of the wind. But it was useless. The ability of God's reward for hard work does not seem to be able to be blessed on the clone. After a day's journey, Naruto finally arrived at the edge of the Sand Village. At this time, Naruto began to be extra careful. Because there are a large number of ninjas in the Sand Village. Although it is not necessarily impossible to defeat them, but if you use less chakra, it will not recover. Earth Escape Nuclear Submarine. The ninjutsu was activated, and a submarine formed by Earth swallowed Naruto and began to sneak in the soil. When he arrived underground in the Sand Village, Naruto began to use Kagura's Heart's Eye to sense the position of the one-tailed Jinchuriki. Kagura's Heart's Eye is a ninjutsu that only a few Uzumaki clan members can master. It is a super large-scale perception ninjutsu. Although it is called a ninjutsu, Naruto feels that it is a half ninjutsu from the blood. Because only the Uzumaki clan can use it, and it is a minority. If you know the other party's chakra, you can also accurately locate it. The prototype of Naruto's perception is the chakra of the nine-tail in his body. Although the chakra of the one-tail is different from that of the nine-tail, they are both tailed beasts. It is easier to distinguish it from the chakra of ordinary ninjas when perceiving it, and it can also reduce Naruto's unnecessary consumption. Closing his eyes slightly, Naruto activated the ninjutsu. After a few seconds, Naruto suddenly opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Found it. Naruto began to move again by burrowing into the earth. With the sealing technique, it was difficult for Naruto to expose his own chakra. As long as he didn't make too much noise, Naruto kept sneaking and gradually came to where Gaara was. What surprised Naruto a little was that there was no ninja monitoring Gaara's residence. Then he thought about it. That's right. After all, if he was monitored, he might be discovered by Gaara and killed directly by Gaara. After all, Gaara was still a problem child at this time. Thinking about what happened to Gaara, Naruto shook his head. This was all because of the ambitious people. Basically, every Chiriki was unfortunate. Power. It is always terrifying, especially the uncontrolled power. Especially Gaara's father, Rasa, is really an irresponsible father. In order to allow Gaara to control the power of Shukaku, he kept sending people to assassinate Gaara. What a clever guy. This also made Gaara gradually become a bloodthirsty person who was eager to prove his existence by killing people. Gaara didn't know the meaning of his existence. His father wanted to kill him, and his uncle was sent by Rosa to test him. Gaara thought so himself. Even his sister and brother were afraid of him. The villagers were also afraid of his existence. This gradually forced Gaara into the abyss of darkness. This is simply the blackened Naruto. If Naruto turned black, Naruto would generally have some identification with Gaara, probably because of the same identity and experience of the two. However, Naruto did not turn black in his previous life, probably because of the influence of Ashura's chakra. However, Naruto has never felt the Ashura chakra in his body. And didn't feel affected at all. Maybe it's because his strength is too low to sense it. Naruto didn't come out from the ground. It was almost evening now. Coming out now would probably attract other people's attention, even though there was no one around Gaara now. According to Naruto's observation, Gaara lived in a single family room, and there were no residents living around, probably because of Gaara's identity. As for the Kazekage Rasa, he was not there either. He was probably panning for gold in the sand or in the Kazekage building. Temari and Kankuro were not there either. This was a good time to contact Gaara. However, Naruto did not act rashly, but waited for the night to fall. Night is the best time to contact Gaara. Because the sealing technique of the sand village is so crude. As soon as Gaara falls asleep, Shukaku will compete with Gaara for control of his body. At this time, Shukaku can easily penetrate the chakra through the gaps in the sealing technique. This also caused Gaara to have two big dark circles under his eyes, just like a little panda. When night fell, Naruto also saw Gaara's sister and brother Kanjiro, who looked more immature than in the original book. Temari should be about 13 years old now, Kanjiro is about 12 years old now, and Gaara is about the same as Naruto now, about 10 years old. Temari's neck showed a little ninja fishnet outfit, and the outside was tightly wrapped in ninja clothes, with a pair of long legs. Even Naruto couldn't help but smack his lips when he saw the long legs. The three of them did not live in the same room. Compared with the two people, Gaara's room was a little far away. Suddenly, Naruto found that Temari actually began to take off her clothes and started to take a shower, just facing the window, just facing the roof that Naruto had turned into a small stone. A piece of white, at least 1 C is estimated by eye. Suddenly, Naruto's face turned red, and he felt inexplicably sorry for Shikamaru. If Shikamaru knew, he would probably say, "Are you polite?" Just like that, Naruto waited with an inexplicable mood, while Temari and Kankuro slowly fell asleep. When the moon hung overhead, Gaara felt inexplicably uncomfortable in the room, the one tail. He forced himself to look at the ceiling. At this time, a voice suddenly came into Gaara's mind. Who? Gaara stood up and looked around vigilantly. Dare to come. Just come to the desert outside by yourself. The voice in my mind sounded again. Gaara was puzzled and stimulated by Naruto. Could it be another assassin sent by my father? Gaara's heart began to overflow with murderous intent. He left directly from the window, leaving the curtain swaying slightly. I don't know if it was the wind or if Gaara touched it. Gaara looked at the desert outside, following the chakra traces left by the owner of the mysterious voice. It was only 2 seconds, but Gaara followed closely. When he came to a desert, the chakra disappeared, and Gaara knew that the place must be here. The moonlight was bright, the moon was in the sky, and the moonlight was scattered on the ground like crushed, and from time to time, a small wind and sand blew. A figure wearing a bamboo hat appeared in front of Gaara, a head taller than Gaara. "Who are you?" Gaara asked. The murderous intent in his heart could not help but boil. It was probably another assassin sent by Luasha. Gaara was used to it. Although Luasha had not sent anyone to kill him recently, he didn't care about it. Only blood is the most beautiful, and it can prove my existence. But I only love my own Shira. Hello, Gaara. Naruto threw his hat away and it got stuck on a rock in the Gobi Desert. His delicate and handsome face was revealed. His golden hair and smile made Gaara a little dazed. This smile without any negative emotions made Gaara's heart skip a beat. Ha ha ha, killing him can prove my existence. Gaara is now bloodthirsty and in an extremely abnormal state of mind. Naruto looked at Gaara's crazy look, sighed, and felt that Rasa was a big stick. A good boy was forced to become a problem child. Naruto took 2 steps forward, clapped his hands, and a medium-sized barrier was set up by Naruto. This is to prevent being discovered by the people of the Sand Village. After all, they are still outside the village, so it's always right to be careful. Then, Naruto directly revealed the 9 Tails chakra. Shukaku, who was dozing in Gaara's body, suddenly opened his eyes, the smell of a stinky fox. Shukaku began to continuously attack the seal in Gaara's body, and the characteristics of sandification gradually appeared on his body. Feeling the abnormality of his body, Gaara thought that the One Tail was going to compete with him for control of his body again. "Get back!" Gaara shouted angrily, mobilizing his chakra to suppress the One Tail Shukaku. Although the sealing technique of the Sand Village was not very good, it was still able to suppress the One Tail. The One Tail immediately felt a strong pressure pressing its power back. After struggling several times, the One Tail Shukaku stopped struggling because he noticed something unusual, as if the guy opposite was weird. He didn't seem to sense the existence of Kurama. Could it be that he was a human who had obtained some stinky fox chakra? Gaara felt the One Tail retreating and no longer struggling, and thought that he had given up again as usual, so he didn't think much and turned to look at Naruto. Looking at the chakra in Naruto's hand, he recognized it. It was the tailed beast chakra. Could it be? Gaara understood instantly that perhaps the other party was also a tailed beast Jinchuriki. The murderous intent in his heart suddenly weakened a little. "Who are you?" "Me." Naruto smiled and continued, "I am the same as you. I am an ominous person, but we are not born to be ominous, they forced us to be like this." When Gaara heard Naruto's words, he felt inexplicably touched in the first half, and murderous intent rose in the second half. "We are the same kind of people. Gaara, do you believe in light? I am here to lead you out of the darkness." Naruto felt like he was fooling a kid. Gaara's body paused for a moment, then his face gradually became ferocious, and he shouted, "I don't need anyone, I love my own Shira." Gaara suddenly rushed up like crazy. "Okay." Naruto waved his hands. After all, he couldn't beat Snake Uncle. They all said I had a mouth-to-mouth trick, where was it? It seems that we still have to fight. Naruto actually expected that without strength, others would not want to listen to what you say. Naruto looked at Gaara's angry look at the moment, and he was probably moved by him, but the long-term betrayal made him unwilling to believe anyone again. Problem children and the like, just beat them up. Then come and convince people with virtue. After all, a gentleman is not serious, he is not powerful. How can I establish prestige without heavy hands? Facing Gaara who was galloping, looking at him who had already turned one hand into Shukaku's arm, Naruto did not hesitate at all and pulled back. Feel the fear from the firepower coverage. Naruto raised the corner of his mouth, all the fears come from the fear of insufficient firepower. Earth escape quicksand strike. Naruto quickly formed 3 seals with both hands, and AB-level ninjutsu was used. It was obviously a ninjutsu that Naruto had simplified. Gaara was shocked. Although he was in a state of rage, he was not without brains. With such a short seal, the opponent's strength was not weak. Gaara seemed even crazier, and the blood of the strong was even more boiling. Gaara raised the huge arm transformed by Shukaku, which had violet-like patterns on it. His eyes gradually changed, and he looked like a monster. There was even fine sand sliding down his arm, and the murderous intent that erupted from his body could scare a Jonin. The power of the tailed beast can make ordinary ninjas shudder. This is a power that is almost like a natural disaster. Naruto used Earth Escape to roll up a huge quicksand fist and hit Gaara. Gaara used the seemingly small arm of Shukaku, which actually contained powerful power. After all, it was the power of the tailed beast, which could not be ignored. Earth Style. Vortex Blast. In a flash, Naruto attacked Gaara again. The desert was full of sand and stones, which reduced Naruto's energy consumption several times. The sand and stones turned into desert vortices and rushed towards Gaara. Boom, boom, boom. A huge explosion sounded, and the sound waves formed hit the wall of the barrier without causing any ripples. Seeing that the attack hit the opponent, Naruto was not happy at all, because Gaara was wrapped in a thick ball of sand. The sand with chakra was harder than steel. Absolute protection. Naruto's mouth curled up slightly, revealing an interested look. Naruto knew that this was not Shukaku's power at all, but the power of Gaara's mother, Karura. What power could allow Karura's remaining power to protect Gaara all the time? It really interested Naruto. Since Naruto had the ability of God's reward for hard work, his research on ninjutsu has been unstoppable. Now seeing the power of unfamiliar ninjutsu, he is naturally very interested. Especially this unconscious automatic defense power. Although it looks magical, Naruto knows that this power should rely on Gaara's chakra. From the perspective of energy, this is reasonable. However, in the later period, Karura's remaining power took the initiative to form a huge sand man to protect Gaara, which still shocked Naruto. This woman is indeed very admirable. How to say it? Chakra is formed by human spiritual power and cell life energy, and the most sincere will in the heart is naturally explained by being imprinted in chakra. This is also the reason why Gaara's mother took the initiative to protect Gaara later. This mother, she loves Gaara deeply. Naruto's attack was blocked by Gaara's absolute defense, and he couldn't help but smile. Gaara rushed forward even more frantically. Sand Style. Desert Funeral. In the desert, Gaara didn't need the aid of the gourd to perform his ninjutsu to the limit, because there were brown sand all around. The mud and sand began to move like a river. In such a scene, Gaara laughed, as if he was about to be happy and excited to see Naruto's blood. Gaara's face was full of madness at the moment. Naruto frowned at the crazy Gaara in front of him. Problem children and the like, just beat them up. Educate them well later. Gaara has fallen to where he is today, and it's all because of Luasha's cleverness. In the end, he was killed by Orochimaru. Even the people in his own ninja village don't know. It's really ridiculous. Big Ball Rasengan. Looking at the rushing river of mud and sand, Naruto directly fired a Big Ball Rasengan to meet it. The powerful force of the Rasengan directly shattered the entire river of mud and sand. The yellow sand in the sky instantly dispersed in the air, and the power in it had been defeated by Naruto. Gaara was a little dazed. He had hardly seen such a powerful force. Except for his father, the original crazy emotion was restrained a little in an instant, and he didn't even notice it. Gritting his teeth, Gaara mobilized the sand again, forming a big hand to grab Naruto. Naruto turned over and retreated, using a somersault to retreat dozens of meters away. Then he grinned and said, "Welcome to the baptism of artillery fire." Fire Style. Great Dragon Fire Technique. Fire Style. Flame Pillar. It's not over yet, the wind helps the fire. Wind Style. Big Breakthrough. Naruto formed seals with one hand and instantly used two fire-style ninjutsu, one for high-altitude attack and one for ground attack. He formed seals with both hands again, and a strong wind appeared, and the fire became even more fierce. A dull feeling rose up. Gaara felt the pressure and directly formed three walls of sand to block in front of him. Naruto's attack was unstoppable and directly broke through Gaara's three walls of sand before stopping. Gaara just wanted to take a breath. Then he heard Naruto's voice. Earth Style. Quicksand Vortex. Wind Style. Tornado. Combined Ninjutsu. Quicksand Hell. Naruto deliberately controlled the power. After all, Gaara was still too young now. One Tail. Lend me your power, if I die you will definitely not live. Gaara roared. The one-tail Shukaku was also straightforward, without any more arguments, and directly gave his chakra to Gaara. Because the human in front of him had the smell of the stinky fox he hated. With Shukaku's chakra, Gaara launched the ninjutsu again, which was larger in scale and more powerful. However, when it came into contact with Naruto's ninjutsu, he found that it didn't seem as powerful as he imagined. While he breathed a sigh of relief, he showed a cruel expression, as long as the opponent was not as strong as he imagined. Sand style. Desert burial. With the blessing of Shukaku's chakra, Gaara was like a god. But Naruto's attacks came one after another, so many that his scalp numbed. Fire style. Chain fireball technique. Art fire escape ho fireball. Lightning release. Thunderbird. Lightning release. Pseudo darkness. Wind style. Wind cutting. Wind style. Vacuum wave. Quote. Naruto did not use the combination ninjutsu again. After all, the power of the combination ninjutsu was too strong. It was not something that Gaara could resist now. Naruto felt the 5 cards of chakra disappearing from his body, and nodded with satisfaction. Well, this is a move that Kakashi can never afford to use. Naruto's moves were messy, purely for the purpose of showing off his ninjutsu. His clone had a total of 10,000 cards of chakra, of which Naruto himself provided 2,000 cards. The 9 tails alone, oh no. One-tailed beast provided 8,000 cards of chakra. 1 card of chakra is equivalent to the chakra of 1 Kakashi. In the original work, Naruto had hundreds of times more chakra than Kakashi, and this was because the remaining chakra was used to suppress the 9 tails. Now that there is no interference from the 9 tails, these chakras can naturally be used. At the same time, because of the reward for hard work, Naruto's chakra increased several times again, reaching the level of several thousand cards. If Kakashi knew, he would probably burst into tears. In fact, Kakashi has a lot of chakra, and most of it has been absorbed by the Sharingan. Otherwise, he would not have failed to break through to the cage level for so many years. In addition to his own decadence, the Sharingan has been absorbing his chakra. As the saying goes, success or failure is due to the Sharingan. Maybe Kakashi will be stronger without the Sharingan, but it is different. After all, when Kakashi was young, he was a super genius. The threshold of the cage level is not difficult for him. Even Guy opened the 8 gates and reached the cage level. Naruto's ninjutsu was all smashed down, explosions sounded, and the surroundings were suddenly shrouded in smoke. When the smoke dissipated, Gaara had actually used the technique of pretending to sleep. Wow, he directly let Shukaku resist the thunder. Naruto, I can't beat Shukaku now. Don't think that Shukaku is rubbish in the original work. The 9 tails has always used its tail to distinguish the strong from the weak. In fact, it can't stand Shukaku. And Shukaku's strength is not the weakest among the tailed beasts. Shukaku is the only one among the tailed beasts who can use ninjutsu. I don't know when he learned it. The other tailed beasts are too disdainful to learn human ninjutsu. Speaking of this, Naruto has to complain. Among all the tailed beasts, only the 9 tails' strength barely reaches the level of Super Shadow. The other tailed beasts are at the level of Shadow. Their chakra utilization and control are terribly low. Otherwise, with their chakra, they must be Super Shadow level. Usually, they only use a tailed beast ball that is equivalent to a talent skill. No wonder they are toyed with by humans. But in the eyes of ordinary ninjas, they are invincible. Even shadow-level powerhouses have a headache because the chakra of the tailed beasts is too huge. Ha ha ha, I'm finally out. Little brat, prepare to die, said the one-tailed Shukaku arrogantly. The long-lost sense of freedom made him feel great. A huge claw grabbed Naruto, and Naruto pulled back and continued to attack with ninjutsu. Shukaku's claws smashed on the ground, raising a huge cloud of dust. Kid, what is your relationship with that fox? Shukaku's voice was loud and rumbling. Want to know? Defeat me, Naruto teased. You are courting death, little brat. Feeling that he was being fooled, Shukaku was furious and started to use ninjutsu directly. Wind style. Air training bullet. Naruto used earth style to dive deep into the ground. Shukaku smashed a big hole in the ground and Naruto got out again. Hey, I'm fine. Come again. Naruto continued to taunt. Shukaku grabbed Naruto with one claw, but missed. Naruto had already hidden underground again. He came out from another direction. Hey, I'm fine. I'm just playing. Naruto came out again, which made Shukaku furious. He kept hitting Naruto. Naruto dodged Shukaku's attack again and again. If he can't beat me, can't I dodge? Brat, if you dare to play tricks on me, I will tear you into pieces. Shukaku was furious, and a ball of black energy gradually began to take shape. It turned out to be the tailed beast ball. No way. You can't afford to play with me. Naruto hid underground again, but still felt unsafe, so he continued to drill underground. No, it's still not safe. Naruto dived in another direction again, sneaking a few hundred meters. Carrying out the way of hiding, it is my duty. Boom. The ground shook. Naruto felt it even though he was hundreds of meters away. It is worthy of being the tailed beast ball. Sly kid, come out. Shukaku shouted loudly. Naruto didn't come out for a long time. He thought Naruto had been smashed into pieces by the tailed beast ball. Even if he hadn't, he would probably have been deformed and squeezed into a pancake by the ground. Ha ha ha, this is what happens when you dare to play tricks on me. Shukaku's loud voice echoed in the barrier. Naruto, who had just returned, heard Shukaku's loud laughter and got out from behind him. What are you laughing at? Shukaku turned around and looked at them, staring at each other for a moment. Naruto stood in the distance intact, staring at Shukaku with his big eyes. Hey, dude, what were you talking about just now? Naruto put his hand next to his ear, tilted his head, pretending not to hear what it said, looking particularly annoying. Little brat, are you looking for death? Shukaku was instantly furious, and the sand around him unconsciously rioted. It directly formed sand iron, and with Shukaku's huge body, Naruto suddenly felt like a sky full of yellow sand. Oh my god, are they serious? Shukaku has the ability of magnetic escape in Naruto's impression. At this moment, he mobilized a large amount of iron sand to hit Naruto. Whoosh! Naruto disappeared from the spot again, and the whole person escaped directly underground. He knew how powerful this was. Without Naruto, Shukaku was furious, and the storm around him became more and more violent. Shukaku kept releasing air training bullets to hit the surroundings, and even one bullet hit the barrier. The transparent barrier instantly revealed its traces and returned to its original state. Gaara was in a dozing state at the moment, as if all this had nothing to do with him. After Shukaku swept past, Naruto ran out again to taunt. His expression was as arrogant as he could be. Hey, isn't this the one tail? Why is it so powerless and furious here? Naruto had just finished speaking when the huge claws slapped down. Boom, covered with a huge amount of chakra. The ground suddenly sank, and huge smoke and dust filled half of Shukaku's body, and Naruto disappeared again. The ground cracked, and the quicksand slowly flowed down, looking like a funnel. Shukaku's face became more and more hideous, and the violet flower pattern became more and more charming. A few minutes later, Shukaku was constantly venting. He didn't know why the little bug in front of him was so good at hiding. Once it disappeared, the chakra traces were almost imperceptible, and the position could not be confirmed at all. Shukaku began to mobilize chakra to stir the surrounding ground. A large amount of chakra penetrated into the ground, trying to pull Naruto out. What surprised him was that there was no trace of Naruto within 100 meters underground, and there was no breath of a person within a radius of hundreds of meters. Little did he know that Naruto had already escaped to a place thousands of meters away. After Naruto's continuous improvement of the earth escape technique, it was not only fast, but also greatly enhanced the depth of escape. It's just that the air underground is scarce, so you need to breathe from time to time, or directly use the earth escape technique to open a small passage leading to the ground. After Shukaku finished venting, Naruto came out again and taunted Shukaku, the big cat in front, didn't you eat? Oh, it seems that you don't need to eat either. Naruto taunted in a very jumpy way. If Naruto's real body was here, he would definitely not say this. Who knew that the shadow clone was fine when it came out, but now it has let itself go. You little brat, you have completely pissed me off. Shukaku's murderous intent continued to rise, and the tailed beast ball condensed again. I say, One Tail, your chakra control is not that good. Isn't it just rolling a ball? You act like no one can do it. After saying that, Naruto immediately performed a ball rolling. This is a small meatball, this is a big meatball, and this is a braised meatball, this is a flat meatball, and this is a meatball skewer. Rasengan began to appear in Naruto's hand, including a large Rasengan, a Hauyan Rasengan infused with fire attribute chakra, a Rasengan that changed its form into a flat shape, and a row of Rasengan in his hand. Naruto's attitude made Shukaku even more angry, and even the tailed beast ball was blessed to a great extent. After Naruto showed off, he disappeared again. 2 people. No, it should be said that 1 person and 1 tailed beast. After tossing for several hours, even the sky was a little bright, but this had nothing to do with Gaara. He finally got a good night's sleep. Little brat, I'm going to use my ultimate move. Shukaku's rumbling voice came, and Naruto's heart froze. Could it be that he has some other moves that I don't know? I won't accompany you anymore. Goodbye, little brat. Naruto was dumbfounded. Shukaku threw a ball of sand at Gaara, who woke up and was shocked by the scene in front of him. There were traces of ninjutsu attacks all around him. And Naruto's figure in front of him was intact. Could it be that the one tail couldn't do anything to him? It's unethical. Naruto was a little exasperated when he saw Shukaku's unethical way. Shukaku, who returned to Gaara's body, laughed. You never thought, little brat, I fooled you, right? I told you not to fool me. Although he was fooled, Shukaku was still a little happy. After all, he finally got out of the body. It was like a vent, and no one stopped me. It was better than being trapped in a cage. Gaara looked at the scene in front of him, and he felt comfortable for no reason. He hadn't had such a rest for a long time. Naruto gradually recovered at this time. He almost played too much and forgot about the business. Naruto came back to his senses and looked at Gaara calmly. At this moment, Gaara was also looking at Naruto with a fearful look. The guy who couldn't even do anything to the one tail must be not simple. Naruto looked at the vigilant red panda in front of him. As expected, if he didn't convince others with virtue, the other party would not listen to him. Gaara, I have no intention of being your enemy. We are all the same kind of people, both Jinchuriki, we should help each other, right? Naruto said slowly. He lied. He is not the Nine Tails Jinchuriki at all, he is just a guy who got the Nine Tails power. Shukaku's voice was in Gaara's mind, and Gaara, who thought Naruto was right, reacted instantly. You lied. You are not the Nine Tails Jinchuriki at all, what is your purpose? Gaara's dull voice sounding a little excited, more like he was dissatisfied with Naruto's deception. Naruto was slightly stunned. He frowned, then thought of the one-tailed Shukaku, and then he was relieved. Did the one-tailed Shukaku sense that there was no nine-tailed fox in his body? You misunderstood. I am the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. What's in front of you now is just one of my shadow clones. Naruto explained. But in return, Gaara looked at him as if he was a fool, as if to say, have you ever seen such a perverted shadow clone? Gaara, I know you don't believe me, so I'll prove it to you. Naruto took off his upper body, and there were several seals on it. Release. Naruto removed the seal, but it was not over yet. Naruto started to make hand seals and slightly change the technique of constructing the character in the shadow clone. Naruto's upper body turned into a translucent chakra aggregation similar to the form of Susanoo. Gaara was shocked. The person in front of him was actually a shadow clone, or a chakra aggregation. But the amount of chakra was too terrifying. What kind of shadow clone was this? Not only Gaara, but even Shukaku in Gaara's body was shocked. A shadow clone actually entangled with it for so long. Isn't it easy for a shadow clone to dissipate? This time, not only Gaara, but even Shukaku believed Naruto a little. Naruto changed back to his original form and sealed himself again. It is not difficult to show the chakra appearance of the shadow clone. Others' shadow clones may be just a shallow empty shell, but Naruto's shadow clone is a collection filled with chakra. All he needs to do is change the way the chakra of the anthropomorphic form is running. It is very simple for Naruto. Gaara, we are not enemies, we can be the same kind, partners. Naruto continued, his tone full of sincerity. Life is not all gloomy. The world is not all Sand Village. Gaara, you are not without meaning to exist. Naruto knows that if he wants to recruit Gaara, he must appeal to his emotions and courtesy. And Gaara is an important part of Naruto's mastery of the Kingdom of Wind in the future. As long as Gaara succeeds in becoming the Wind Shadow as originally estimated, then Sand Village will basically be in his pocket. And now the most important thing is to open Gaara's heart and pull Gaara out of the darkness. Naruto knows very well that people like Gaara who seek the meaning of their existence by killing people are actually very eager to be recognized by others. He is no different from others, but he is forced into this by life and rasa. What Naruto has to do is to become the light that can pierce the darkness in Gaara's heart. And Naruto also hopes to redeem Gaara. Konoha Village, Ninja School. Naruto was flirting with Hinata as usual, and he didn't know the progress of Naruto's clone yet, but the clone didn't dissipate, probably nothing went wrong. Naruto smiled and touched Hinata's head. Hinata blushed, and his other hand accidentally touched Hinata's arm. Hiss. Hinata subconsciously took a breath. Naruto frowned, and said, "Hinata, what's wrong?" "Naruto-kun, it's okay," Hinata said softly with a ruddy face. Naruto gently grabbed Hinata's hand and lifted her sleeve. The scene he saw afterwards made Naruto frown, and an unknown anger rushed to his heart. Hinata's arm was bruised and swollen in several places. It looked like someone else had beaten her, very similar to the acupuncture of the Hyuga family. Then Naruto thought about it and understood the cause and effect. It was likely that she was injured when fighting with someone in the family. In the Hyuga family, there was probably no one else who could attack Hinata, the heir of the main family, and beat her like this. Except for Hinata's father Hyuga Hiashi and Hyuga Hanabi, there was probably no one else. "Hinata, tell me who did it." Naruto's expression was serious and cold, which scared Hinata, but she could still hear the concern in Naruto's tone, which showed that Naruto cared about her very much, and her heart was slightly warmed. "It's okay, Naruto-kun. I did it by accident." Seeing Hinata's expression, Naruto was a little helpless. "Hinata, if you don't tell me, I won't be able to eat or sleep well, and I'll think about it every day, please tell me." Naruto pretended to be pitiful, because he knew that only in this way would Hinata be able to tell the truth. Don't, I got hurt when Hanabi and I were sparring." Hinata told Naruto everything, including the fact that she lost to Hanabi. Naruto gently stroked Hinata's little head and said, "Hinata, can't you bear to hurt your sister?" Hinata looked at Naruto's sunny face and nodded. Naruto saw Hinata nod, and knew that Hanabi should be a little over 5 years old now. Even if Hinata's strength is weak now, she should be able to fight to a draw. But with Hinata's character, she certainly can't bear to hurt a younger sister. This is basically fatal in a large family, especially as the heir to the main family. Naruto took a look and pulled Hinata out. Then he used the shadow clone and used the transformation technique to turn into Hinata's appearance. Then he pulled Naruto out of the ninja school. "Naruto-kun, it's not good for us to skip class like this, right?" Hinata whispered, looking at the hand held by Naruto. Her fair neck suddenly turned pink. In the past, she would have fainted directly, but after such a long time, Hinata was much more immune to it. "It's okay. Haven't you mastered most of the content in these classes? Besides, I've used a shadow clone to attend the class in your place, so no one will notice." "Hinata, we are already so familiar with each other, you should just call me Naruto from now on." "It's always Naruto-kun, Naruto-kun, I think it's a bit strange." "Okay, Naruto-kun. Okay, Naruto. That's right." Naruto happily took Hinata's hand and rushed to the place where they usually trained. The simple secret base at that time has changed at this moment, and even the small cave at that time has become a built-in house with several rooms. It is the place where Naruto and his friends rest. Sometimes Neji will stay here overnight. He is really too hard for training, and Shaoli is also. Hinata looked around curiously. It seems like a secret base. "Come here, I'll treat you." The two came to a lawn, and Naruto used the palm fairy technique to treat Hinata. There are medical ninjutsu in Danzo's collection scrolls, and because of the biological experiments, medical ninjas are the key, so there are many books on medical treatment. Green light appeared, and Hinata's injuries healed quickly. Hinata stared at Naruto while he was treating her. Naruto was particularly handsome today, and Hinata seemed to hear her own heartbeat. Land of Wind, outside of Sand Village. Naruto was still introducing it to Gaara, and Gaara suddenly wanted to see the life that Naruto was talking about. As the head of the organization, Naruto's words about the leader were also polished to a certain extent. Although Naruto did not do it deliberately, he continued to improve when teaching Shisui. At this moment, something called leadership temperament emerged spontaneously, which was convincing. I love Luo. This world is chaotic, it is bad, even people are bad. I hope to change it, make the mountains and rivers beautiful, let the sun shine on the earth. Gaara, we are unfortunate, but we can help more people like us escape from the sea of suffering. We can help people in the ninja world no longer distinguish between countries. Let the people of the wind country go to see the sea, the people of the fire country can see the oasis, and the people of the earth country can see the beautiful plains. Let everyone be able to go anywhere at will. The ninja world is corrupt and dark, but we are bright and shining. Gaara, I need you. Naruto's words were like a dimensionality reduction blow to the love-starved little panda in front of him. No one had ever said that they needed him, no one had ever said that he could live a wonderful life, no one had ever said that he could be loved by others. Gaara's tears instantly welled up in his eyes, and he cried, "Can someone like me be needed?" Naruto hooked his hand around the back of Gaara's head, and their foreheads were pressed tightly together. Gaara, look at me, I need you. The world needs you too. Naruto grinned, revealing his white teeth, confident and calm. This was a smile Gaara had never seen before. He was used to fear, disgust and disgust. This smile became the only one, the light in his heart. Chapter 71. Next to the grove, Naruto carefully used medical ninjutsu to recover all of Hinata's injuries. Then he looked at Hinata with heartache. Naruto actually did not recommend this girl in front of him to become a ninja, or to be more precise, he did not recommend her to become a ninja who specializes in combat. This is why Naruto has no plans to improve Hinata's strength for the time being. In this world, Naruto feels that it is more about diversifying power rather than becoming a killing weapon alone. This is simply a cruel thing for a girl who is naturally kind. But now, the girl he cherishes has been hurt. And they are her family members. He can't just rush to Hyuga to beat up Hyuga Hiashi and his sister-in-law. Besides, wouldn't that expose him? After thinking it over and over again, Naruto felt that Hinata should still have a certain amount of power. After all, he couldn't stay with Hinata forever. So he took Hinata's hand, as if he didn't see Hinata's flushed face. Hinata felt that she was about to faint, and sweat began to appear on her head. Hinata, I know you don't want to hurt Hanabi, but you can't do this. As the heir to the main family, you must have a certain strength. Naruto spoke slowly. For a big family like the Hyuga, his daughter is indeed cowardly and timid. She can't even fight as well as her sister Hanabi, who is 5 years younger than her. This is why Hyuga Hiashi is so strict. Some elders in the main family put pressure on her, and there were even rumors of reselecting the heir to the main family, but these news were circulated within the main family. Naruto has a general understanding of the Hyuga, and he learned more from the original work. However, no matter how much Hyuga Hiashi bears, this is not a reason for Hinata to be bullied. Should the responsibility of the family really be placed on Hinata? You know, Hinata is only 10 years old now. Hinata listened to Naruto's words, and her eyes couldn't help but turn red. He thought of his father, who also emphasized her identity as the heir to the main family. Strength is a must, at least not too weak. Seeing that Hinata's tears were about to fall, Naruto hurriedly said, "Don't cry, Hinata, I don't mean that. What I mean is, let me help you practice in the future. Hinata, you are not bad in talent, but you are kind-hearted. I know fighting and killing may not be suitable for you, but sometimes, strength can also be used to protect the people you love. Just like I want to protect you," Naruto said with a smile, and Hinata's slightly sad heart suddenly became lively, but Naruto's words made her face red again. "Well, I also want to protect you, Naruto," Hinata whispered, and Naruto could hardly hear what Hinata said. "Hinata, strength is not just for fighting and killing, sometimes it can be transformed into the power of protection. Ninjas don't necessarily have to go to the battlefield to kill enemies, the power of ninjas can also be used to benefit the people. It's just that people now have a qualitative thinking about the profession of ninja. You may not understand these, but ninjutsu comes from life, from fighting, and from thinking." Naruto's words are indeed difficult for Hinata to understand, and even a shock. Don't ninjas exist just to kill people? This is the inertial thinking of most ninjas in the ninja world. Ordinary people pay remuneration in exchange for the protection of ninjas, and ninjas protect ordinary people. The daimyo is in charge of politics, and the ninjas are in charge of fighting. The daimyo maintains the needs of the ninjas, so military expenses are distributed, and at the same time, the ninjas complete tasks and earn money. This is the one country, one village system. In theory, the shadow and the daimyo should be at the same level, but because the daimyo controls the economic lifeline, the status of the daimyo is slightly higher. From the fact that the shadow needs to be reported to the daimyo, although it is just a situation, it can be seen that the status of the daimyo is a little higher. You may not understand now, it doesn't matter. Naruto touched Hinata's head again and added, but I will train you in the future. You will understand that the power of protection is the most powerful. Isn't it? If anyone dares to hit Hinata, Naruto doesn't mind releasing the 9 tails and let him experience what it means to be a man relying on the power of a fox. Human-shaped cannon. The truth is only within the range of the cannon. The two of them stopped talking and snuggled up to each other warmly. The sun shone on them, and they looked so peaceful. Time passed slowly. Good morning, Naruto. Miss Hinata, why are you here? Suddenly a voice sounded, full of shock. Quote, oh, brother-in-law, you are here. Neji knew that Naruto and Hinata had a good relationship, but he never thought that Hinata would skip classes to date Naruto. But then he showed a knowing smile. If an ordinary person dared to harass Hinata, Neji would definitely beat him up so that he couldn't take care of himself. If this person was Naruto, Neji would definitely agree with it. Okay, since you are here, I will not waste my words. You can come and train with Hinata today. You probably know Hinata's situation in Hyuga. Hinata's personality is not suitable for fighting and killing. Ninki looked at Naruto in surprise. Hinata's personality is not only not suitable for fighting and killing, to put it bluntly, it is, a bit cowardly. Although Ninki felt that it was not good to frame Hinata in his heart, it was indeed the truth. Ninki, I know, but I can't just watch Hinata get bullied. You help me teach her for a few days, and then I'll be able to improve Hinata's strength. And don't hurt Hinata, or you'll know what will happen. Naruto knew what Nechi was thinking when he saw his expression, and after saying a few words, he put his hands together at the same time, and the knuckles made a crackling sound. Nechi swallowed and nodded, because he knew how hard Naruto's fists were. Hinata, you have to know that sometimes learning ninjutsu and taijutsu is not to hurt anyone, but to prevent more people from getting hurt, understand? I may get hurt in the future, and I need you to protect me, Hinata. Naruto knew that if he wanted Hinata's strength to improve, he had to change Hinata's mind first, and let her understand that strength is not just a tool to hurt others, but can also be used to protect the people she loves. Yeah, Naruto, I will study hard. Hinata nodded, and a strange emotion arose in her heart. No one had ever told her that strength could be used to protect others. All she had heard was that as the heir of the main family, she should shoulder the responsibility of the main family and not let people down. Strength is everything, you are so disappointing. Hinata always heard scolding, harshness and a lot of demands, and no one ever considered her feelings. Only Naruto really cared about her, and tears welled up in her eyes for a moment. Little cat, you won't look good if you keep crying. I won't like you if your face is all red from crying. Naruto said jokingly. Ah, then, who does Naruto-kun like? Seeing Hinata like this, Naruto was a little amused. Little idiot, I was just joking. Naruto explained, and Hinata started laughing again. Ninki, Hinata is now in your care. Hinata's foundation in taijutsu is too poor. Please help her train again. Naruto had practiced taijutsu in his early days. Basic taijutsu had already formed a theory. There were still too few taijutsu practitioners nowadays. Relatively speaking, they were a bit too crude. Even some taijutsu from big families seemed too simple for Naruto. Ninki nodded. Naruto, is there really a way to improve Miss Hinata's strength in a short period of time? Ninji said, and it was obvious that he had remembered what Naruto had just said. Naruto was stunned, then said, it's true, but it may not be suitable for you. You can learn it when the time comes. Naruto naturally has a way to improve Hinata's strength. As long as Hinata's mentality changes and she is no longer so afraid of power, she can naturally improve her strength. The way Naruto thought of was that the others were too fierce, so Naruto thought of an ability that was very suitable for Hinata. That is Tai Chi. Tai Chi is very suitable for Hinata, and it is somewhat similar to the concept of the main family. The boxing in Konoha is roughly divided into steel fist flow and soft fist flow. The soft fist is represented by the Hyuga, and the steel fist flow can be reflected in Might Guy. The soft fist mainly relies on acupuncture to block the enemy's chakra, and sees through the chakra meridians through the white eyes, so it belongs to the exclusive boxing of the Hyuga clan. And because the soft fist is suitable for combat, it is actually mainly based on killing, soft with hardness, but it is too hard. Tai Chi, on the other hand, pays attention to the combination of hardness and softness, using stillness to control movement. Although moving, it is still still. Tai Chi is originally infinite, giving birth to all things, and it is more of a health concept. But don't think that Tai Chi boxing has weak actual combat ability. While Tai Chi is hard with softness, soft with hardness and softness are combined. How can the concept of it be compared with the soft fist of the Hyuga clan? Naruto feels that if the people of the Hyuga clan get Tai Chi, they may be able to develop more powerful soft fist moves. Tai Chi is a dimensionality reduction attack for soft fist. Tai Chi is a systematic school, and there were many schools in Naruto's previous life. Naruto didn't know whether Tai Chi could be used in actual combat in his previous life, but in this world with extraordinary power. With the blessing of chakra, Tai Chi will burst out with terrifying power. Naruto plans to refine the Tai Chi he knows and form a ninja version of Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is almost equivalent to a method of practicing a ninjutsu. In the following days, Naruto started practicing Tai Chi every day. After practicing, Naruto found that Tai Chi is really not that simple. The artistic conception is vast and boundless. However, with the help of God's reward for hard work, it is like God's help. Tai Chi concept +5, Tai Chi +8, balance +1. Since Hinata was convinced by Naruto's idea that strength can also be protection, she has gradually started to pay attention to training, because she wants to protect Naruto, not just be a vase. As she followed Neji to re-examine the basics of physical skills, she found that this seemingly simple physical skill foundation is actually very complicated. As the daughter of Hyuga Heihachi, she still has some vision. This surprised him a little. From Neji's explanation, he knew that these were all summed up by Naruto. Well, Naruto is indeed a genius. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. In Hinata's eyes, nothing Naruto does is strange. Tai Chi breathing method +5, Tai Chi +1-5. These days, with the help of God's reward for hard work, Naruto has been madly brushing up his Tai Chi proficiency. Even some concepts that he doesn't understand will suddenly become clear in the inspiration of God's reward for hard work. As for bottlenecks, with the help of God's reward for hard work, Naruto has no bottlenecks. Tai Chi +1-1. Lifespan +0.01. It seems like something strange has been mixed in. Lifespan. Practicing Tai Chi still increases lifespan. Naruto was surprised, but when he thought about the fact that Tai Chi has the ability to maintain health, plus the blessing of God rewards hard work, it seemed to be commonplace. In Tai Chi, the most important thing is to exert force and breathing method. It is not difficult to exert force. With Naruto's physical attainments and God rewards hard work, he has already practiced it. However, what Naruto lacks is the breathing method, but he still got the blessing of God rewards hard work deliberately. Naruto invented a breathing method himself. The help of God rewards hard work is indispensable. Stirring up chakra with a special frequency can slowly improve physical fitness. It is not as rough as the steel fist flow, but it will not leave any hidden injuries. And the more he studied, Naruto found that there seemed to be an inexplicable energy from the outside world that would slowly flow into the body to temper the body. The number is as rare as silk thread. The advantage is that it flows slowly. Naruto suspects it as natural energy. Naruto is still not very clear about why Tai Chi breathing method can attract natural energy. It may be that Tai Chi implies the beginning of heaven and earth, and emphasizes that heaven follows earth, and earth follows heaven. Leverage the power of heaven and earth. Unity of heaven and man. Tao follows nature. This is very similar to the immortal cultivation methods that Naruto saw in his previous life. And these natural energies are similar to the energy of heaven and earth. Unexpectedly, there are unexpected gains, which makes Naruto a little happy. Naruto feels that he has made rapid progress, but in the eyes of Neji and Hinata, Naruto is just a slow boxing, and there is no power at all. If you say this is a soft fist, he admits it. It is even softer than their Hyuga soft fist. Can this have offensive power? Can such a slow fist hit people? Naruto, does your boxing style really work? Neji asked hesitantly. Hinata was also a little confused, but she chose to believe Naruto. Naruto must have his own ideas, maybe she couldn't understand. Ninki, how many times have I told you, this is Tai Chi? If you think you can't do it, then come and practice with me. Naruto also knew that Neji and the others were puzzled. In addition to the training during this period, Naruto also wanted to find an experimental subject. Isn't Neji walking into trouble? Neji, you are still too young. Come on. Ninki also wanted to see where Naruto's boxing skills were strong. Remember to focus on strength, relax your body, and concentrate your spirit. Naruto directly faced Neji with his starting stance. Neji also used his soft fist stance. 8 trigrams chain palm. Neji attacked Naruto directly, and Naruto hadn't moved at all at this moment. Neji didn't relax at all. Although he didn't know Tai Chi, he never underestimated Naruto. When Neji was about to reach Naruto, Naruto moved. Left and right, hold the bird's tail. Raise your hands forward to form a circle, and use your strength in your palms. Press your hands to exert force on the back of your hands, and press your hands to exert force on your waist. Ninki frowned, and suddenly felt that all the flaws around Naruto disappeared. He changed direction and attacked Naruto again, and Naruto actually stuck to him. Watch out Hinata. Naruto kept sticking to Nechi, and while he was moving around, Nechi had no place to use his strength. A little force can defeat a great force. Neji launched a large number of attacks, but he didn't gain the upper hand at all. The two of them responded with only moves, without using any extraordinary strength. White crane spreads its wings. Double peaks pierce the ears, left leg kick. Tai Chi cloud hands. Quote. During the struggle, Naruto kept showing Hinata his moves, which made Hinata's eyes brighter and brighter. And Neji was also shocked by the exquisiteness of this set of boxing techniques. This is the most powerful soft fist. Naruto carefully displayed his moves in front of Hinata, keeping his strength at a level similar to that of Nechi. However, even so, Nechi was still at a disadvantage, and he became more and more frightened as the fight went on. Although Naruto's movements were slow, he was always able to strike back first, and the constant fighting made him feel as if he was stuck in a quagmire. Nechi estimated that if Naruto hadn't wanted to practice his moves on Hinata, he would have been defeated long ago. Nechi felt extremely aggrieved, and if he hadn't seen Naruto trying to pass the moves to Hinata, Nechi would have admitted defeat long ago. He had never experienced such a frustrating battle before. But he still cooperated with Naruto and practiced it to the end. Okay, that's all the moves, Naruto said to Hinata, and Neji was relieved because Naruto also stopped. It was really uncomfortable to feel that his body was not his own, and he was completely caught up in Naruto's rhythm. Naruto, this is the Tai Chi you mentioned. This feels too badass. Ningji said in shock. Ninki, Tai Chi is about using the opponent's force to counterattack. 1 gives birth to 2, 2 gives birth to 3, and 3 gives birth to all things. It contains the most basic meaning of yin and yang, the foundation of all things. Compared to the soft fist of your Hyuga family, Tai Chi is the real soft fist. The Hyuga soft fist is really soft with strength, but it is too strong. As for Tai Chi, you should feel its power, but because I showed it to Hinata, I didn't show its killer moves too clearly. Naruto spoke slowly, and told the two people the concept of Tai Chi in a simple way. Tai Chi is divided into yin and yang, yin is soft and yang is hard. Nature is a combination of hardness and softness, complementing each other. Tai Chi contains the changes of all things and the principles of the 8 diagrams. The changes are endless. What degree it will reach in the end depends entirely on you. Even I don't know where its limit is. Hinata and Nechi looked at each other. Neither of them was stupid. Nechi was able to rely on his own comprehension of the secret of the main family, the soft fist method to turn the tide. Naturally, his comprehension is very strong. In Naruto's explanation, fragments kept flashing through his mind, and his understanding of the principles of the 8 diagrams increased rapidly. The original 8 diagrams 64 palms felt that there were still many loopholes. Looking at Ninki, who was thoughtful, Naruto nodded. He was worthy of being Ninki. He understood the concept of Tai Chi so quickly. He deserves the title of genius. But I have a cheat. After a moment, Ninki raised his head again and said, Naruto, to what extent can this complete one be achieved? You mean the attack after combining chakra? Watch out. Naruto slowly began to make a gesture, and an invisible wind surrounded Naruto. The blue chakra slowly covered Naruto's body, and in a moment Naruto moved, and the chakra around him began to become violent, but it was extremely stable. A powerful momentum came out of Naruto's body. Ninja Tai Chi +5. As Naruto moved, Heaven Reward's hard work was activated again, providing Naruto with strength every moment. As Naruto moved, a palm of chakra came out of his body, easily destroying the big tree in the distance, and the leaves rustled. Is this a ninjutsu? The slow and quiet movements before didn't look very good, but now after adding chakra and the operation method, it actually burst out with such a strong power. This is the soft fist secret that is stronger than the main family secret technique. Although Neji was shocked, he still suppressed the excitement in his heart and continued to watch. Naruto's next move shocked Neji even more. He seemed to see the rotation of the 4 seasons and the birth of the world. Hinata's eyes were also full of brilliance. Yin and Yang converged, and the 8 trigrams grew. A Yin and Yang 8 trigrams pattern appeared, forming a strong airflow. What is this? Ningji opened his mouth in shock and could not help but step back. This is the secret of Tai Chi. Tai Chi domain. In the Tai Chi domain, defense is unparalleled, and the invincible method of close combat protection. The rhythm is in my hands. No one of the same level can break the Bagua domain. Naruto's voice sounded, and at this moment, Naruto's mind rang wildly, and Naruto seemed to be in enlightenment at this moment. Tai Chi domain +3, Tai Chi domain +5, Tai Chi boxing +4, Tai Chi concept +25. Naruto's mind was filled with inspiration, and the accompanying artistic conception attracted the 2 people who were watching from the side. Their comprehension of Tai Chi was just like eating and drinking water. As for how much they could absorb, it all depended on their comprehension. The distant kingdom of wind. Naruto's clone has been teaching Gaara here for half a month. Naruto wants to take Gaara as his younger brother and then control the entire sand village. Naturally, he will not be so careless. Gaara still lacks a lot, not only strength, but also ideas. After half a month of the influence of the red thought, Gaara admires Naruto even more. Naruto actually wants to completely reform the ninja world. He wants to unify all countries and achieve great unification. He even secretly began to develop and lay out the ninja world. He estimated that what Naruto told him was only part of it. In fact, it is true. In Naruto's teaching, Naruto must first change his character, and then begin to accumulate strength, and must not expose his true strength. Naruto's real positioning for Gaara is to fully control the Sand Village after the Konoha collapse plan. Compared to Gaara's official popularity in Shippuden, Naruto is ready to advance 3 years. This is a big country. Compared with the 5 major countries, it is the best country to attack. After all, the current Sand Village is in a period of transition and only has 1 Luasha to support it. Chio and others are old. And now he is also in a semi-retired state. A few years later, Gaara will be the highest combat force in the Sand Village. With the help of Naruto's forces, it will not be difficult for Gaara to secure the position of Wind Shadow. Naruto has seen the industry of the 7-colored Chamber of Commerce in the Sand Village, and the industrial chain that has gradually formed. If Gaara does not become the Wind Shadow in the end according to the original work, the worst-case scenario is to cut off the source of funds and withdraw the 7-colored Chamber of Commerce. And that part of the people in the Wind Country will be unemployed. Under the mobilization of public anger, there is no reason why Gaara cannot become the Wind Shadow. The original work has become it, and it would be strange if he still cannot become it with the help of Naruto. What makes Naruto most comfortable is that Gaara really has potential in this area and can draw inferences from one example. It's just that he has never been exposed to this knowledge before. In order to prevent Gaara's changes from being abrupt, Naruto also designed a route of change for Gaara, so that people can gradually get used to Gaara's changes and begin to control the Sand Village little by little. And in order for Gaara's strength to grow steadily, Naruto made a deal with Shukaku. At first Shukaku was reluctant, but Naruto just whispered the names of the nine-tailed beasts, and the deal was done. The main thing was to prevent Shukaku from competing with Gaara for control of the body, and to lend chakra to Gaara when necessary. For this, Naruto promised to set Shukaku free in 10 years. Shukaku didn't believe everything Naruto said, because he saw that Naruto seemed to value Gaara very much. Moreover, the tailed beast separated from the body of the Jinchuriki at the cost of the Jinchuriki's life. What made Shukaku really believe in Naruto was that Naruto casually called out the names of the tailed beasts, which made his thoughts begin to diverge. The boy with blue eyes shouted the names of the nine-tailed beasts playfully. He will bring changes to the world and bring peace to the world. The two people overlapped inexplicably, and Shukaku was silent for a rare time. Naruto smiled lightly. He knew Shukaku would agree. Over the years, he has reached a high level of grasp of people's hearts, even if the other party is just a tailed beast. But he has wisdom. What made Naruto happy was that Gaara could actually use magnetic escape, which was a surprising thing. Why didn't it show it in the original work? Then Naruto got the answer from Gaara's answer. It's funny to say that the reason was actually Rasa. Rasa keeps sending people to assassinate Gaara. In his heart, this is not his father, and therefore Gaara is unwilling to use the magnetic escape technique inherited from Rasa. Here is an explanation. Gaara is set to have magnetic escape technique. The official Gaara's secret technique has it, but the orthodox one should not have it. The reason why it is set here is to enhance Gaara's strength. I hope everyone understands. Gaara, this power is yours. It doesn't matter who owns it. Power has nothing to do with right or wrong, but it depends on the person who uses it. Luo Sha is not a qualified father, but you still have me, and in the future there will be more people who will become partners of Remember. And strength is used to protect partners and achieve our goals. You don't owe him anything, so feel free to use the power of magnetic escape. It will be of greater use in the future. Naruto added, if possible, please ask Shukaku to help Gaara develop the power of magnetic escape. Naruto used honorifics for Shukaku, which made Shukaku feel quite comfortable. Their tailed beasts also have names, not one tail, two tail or something like that, which is simply unpleasant. Naruto's mystery, plus the fact that Naruto can call out the names of their tailed beasts, and Naruto promised them freedom, made it have a preliminary sense of identity with Naruto. Humph, I know, don't forget your promise, kid. Shukaku's voice sounded in Gaara's consciousness space, and was also conveyed to Naruto through Gaara. Old man Ludao, could he be that young boy? In Gaara's consciousness, Shukaku's eyes were blurred and he murmured. Naruto is still carrying out his plan, while Shisui is also developing rapidly. The existence of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce has brought benefits to most civilians. At the same time, it has offended most of the nobles, and even touched the interests of some ministers of the country and even daimyo. Facing these people, Shisui will not take soft means. As long as he finds that these people are plundering the people's fat and blood, and even have many sins in secret, Shisui will use illusions to forcibly control these people. There are also many friendly people among the nobles, and there are not many acts of oppressing civilians. For these, Shisui will even take the initiative to cooperate with them and give them opportunities. Although they want to change the world, they are not irrational and hostile to the world. The Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce is in the light, and the Umbrella Organization is in the dark, and it is madly absorbing members. Each level represents different levels of talents, and it covers the whole world, not just ninjas. Sometimes high-end ordinary people, such as scientific and technological talents, are more important than ordinary ninjas. With the Kurigakur taking the blame, the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce is in its heyday, and the Umbrella Organization has been greatly developed. However, as long as it exists, people will eventually find traces of its existence. For example, a fat sheep who likes gambling. Tansho Street. A blonde loli is drinking, but her body is extremely hot, a legal loli. The chariot on her chest makes most people feel ashamed. At this moment, she is already drunk. Lady Tsunade, please drink less, we have no money. The speaker was an adult woman in a fishnet outfit, who looked slim and graceful, with skin as tender as water. At this moment, she said helplessly to the hot loli in front of her. Yes, the loli in front of her was Tsunade. Half an hour ago, Tsunade became like this in order to avoid gambling debts, but only her face changed, her figure was still there, and the one holding the piglet beside her was naturally Shizune. Shizune, you drink too, this wine is really good. How did the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce develop such delicious wine? Drink, drink, ha 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 drink. Tsunade blushed as she looked at Shizune in front of her. Shizune, how did you become two? Shizune in front of Tsunade suddenly became a huge figure, dazzling. Ha, ha, ha. Tsunade suddenly fell down, and even the transformation technique could not be maintained. Hey, there's really nothing I can do. Shizune looked at Tsunade helplessly. Come on, the big fat sheep is here. At this time, someone suddenly shouted outside the tavern. As the man shouted, the outside soon became restless. Shizune picked up Tsunade and disappeared the next moment. In the early morning of the rising sun, the breeze blew the yellow leaves, bringing the late autumn. Tsunade woke up with her head covered. What caught her eyes were the fallen sycamore leaves outside the window, scattered all over the ground. Looking around, it was obviously a country house. Tsunade vaguely remembered what happened last night, and then thought of the good wine last night, and couldn't help licking her lips. Looking into the distance, there was a group of people gathered, and I don't know what they were doing, even Shizune was there. Tsunade got up curiously and walked over there. When she got a little closer, Tsunade finally heard what was being said inside. Villagers, you can send your children to our umbrella school to study for free. The adults said that studying is the way out. Those who perform well can be selected as ninjas. Even if you don't have one, you can still learn a skill and you won't have to worry about making a living in the future. The speaker is Shingo Tanaka. My name is Shingo Tanaka, an ordinary person who almost died. A man named Zabuza saved me. He looked very fierce. He told me that he was from Umbrella. He taught me the meaning of life and gave me a new life. Lord Zabuza said that it was not him who saved me, but another adult. You can call him the Lord of Truth, the source of hope, or the leader. The code name of the leader is Ming. And he handed him a book. The name of the book is Red Thought. The content of the book shocked him and made him find the meaning of life. After being recommended by Lord Zabuza, he came to Umbrella and became an Indigo level member. Finally, after training, he chose to become a messenger to spread ideas for the villagers. Because he wanted more people to be saved, there was a kind of high-yield food in the organization. His contribution could be exchanged for some points, which could also be used to exchange for materials, and could also be used to upgrade the level. After a year, because of his enlightenment and contribution, he became a more glorious member of the Blue Organization. He liked this job very much. He traveled among the villages, taught the villagers to read, provided convenience for the villagers, and spread the red thought at the same time. Tsunade was mixed in the crowd, but she was not too conspicuous, because everyone present focused their attention on Tanaka Shingo, and was obviously attracted by everything Tanaka Shingo said. Only Shizune noticed Tsunade's arrival, and was signaled by Tsunade with her eyes not to say anything. The two continued to listen to what Tanaka Shingo said. For those who perform well, the organization will give you many benefits and even help you build a more beautiful house. You will have a house and you will have money. As long as you work hard and contribute to the organization, one day you will live in a big house of your own. Remember the tycoon Gen Hoshino. You can also live in the same luxurious house as him. Tanaka Shingo became more and more excited as he spoke, as if he was infected. Gen Hoshino was a well-known figure in the surrounding area. He was considered a rich man, but in fact he was just a small landlord. No one knew him outside the area. Shingo Tanaka used him as an example to mobilize everyone's enthusiasm. They were very excited to think that they could live in the same house as the tycoon. They all said, "Shingo, are you serious? Can we live in a big house like that?" Shingo Tanaka saw this and couldn't help but feel satisfied. The adult who taught him in the organization said that if you want others to work hard with you, you must not only talk about benefits but also learn to paint a rosy picture. Shingo Tanaka deeply agrees with this. Although what he said was a bit exaggerated, the treatment is real, and it is also true that you can live in a big house, but only for a few people. After all, it is impossible for everyone to be an elite. However, even the most ordinary people can save money for a big house in a few years, which is better than being exploited by landlords or even nobles here all day long. Children can also have a better learning environment and become a more useful talent, and even become a ninja. In this world, the number of ninjas is actually not that large compared to ordinary people. And the power of ninjas also makes ordinary people very odd. Everyone, how could I lie to you? It's all true, but the adults are willing to help you. You also have to work hard. The adults are willing to lead everyone out of poverty and into prosperity. We may be the villains who forget their principles for the sake of profit. Tanaka Shingo warned, with a carrot in one hand and a stick in the other, so that they would know how valuable this opportunity is. In the following days, Tsunade and Shizune followed Tanaka Shingo secretly and witnessed Tanaka Shingo promoting the red ideology. At first, Tsunade was a little confused, but later she gradually discovered that the organization behind Tanaka Shingo seemed to be really not simple. The red ideology also shocked Tsunade. At the same time, he also learned about the levels of members of the umbrella organization: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and purple. In Tsunade's discovery, it seemed that every villager around had joined the umbrella organization and became the most ordinary purple member. Tsunade didn't know what the purpose of this organization recruiting these ordinary people was, and it didn't seem to care about them. It seemed that only the indigo level members were worth contacting. Tsunade kept following Tanaka Shingo and found that this person seemed to be really just for the good of these villagers. The behavior shown by the whole person also made Tsunade very appreciative. Although he was not a ninja, his heart was still admirable. This made Tsunade more and more curious about this organization that she had never heard of. Wave Country. Uchiha Shisui is having a meeting with Uchiha Yu, Zabuza and some other key members. How's the expansion going recently? With the passage of time and the growth of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce, Umbrella began a steady expansion policy under the guidance of Naruto and the leadership of a group of leaders such as Shisui. Zabuza stood up and spoke slowly. It's satisfactory. Some places have been promoted smoothly, but some places are still not so easy. Some civilians don't trust us very much. In addition, the speed of recruiting ninjas is getting slower and slower, and the ninjas we trained ourselves have not grown up yet. Zabuza briefly introduced the situation he was responsible for. After Zabuza finished speaking, Uchiha Yu stood up again and said happily, "The situation here is very good. The number of members has greatly increased, and at the same time, several mechanical talents have been recruited. And in some areas, our ideas have been regarded as the light of hope. In addition, we have recruited 2 special talents, Kato Shizune and Kato Shizuka, who are medical ninjas who have mastered the Palm Immortal technique." Uchiha Yu looked at Zabuza and smiled proudly, squinting his eyes, as if to say, "I performed better than you." But Zabuza didn't care about his mood, which made him curl his hands. "Have you checked their backgrounds?" Shisui nodded with satisfaction. They were in great need of medical ninjas, especially those who had mastered the Palm Immortal technique. There were not many such ninjas in the 5 major ninja villages, so Shisui was a little worried that they were spies sent in by others. "No, aren't there enough homeless people in the ninja world? My subordinates just reported it, and I haven't had time to investigate it yet," Yu said helplessly. Shisui nodded and said, "Leave these 2 people to me for personal investigation. Senior members of the Umbrella organization must be tested to prevent spies from other ninja villages or other organizations from infiltrating. And the structure of the entire organization is in an umbrella shape, with the central umbrella being the absolute position led by Naruto. Then it will gradually spread. Each level will not know too much information across levels, and many small bases have been established, with funds coming from the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. The main reason for doing this is to spread the red ideology and slowly change people's thinking, not to bring them all into the organization. This makes some people depressed, such as Tsunade. She originally wanted to infiltrate the Umbrella organization to find out who can create such a shocking theory and see through the essence of the ninja world in the most fundamental way. Tsunade thinks it might be a wise man who has studied for a long time, or a very old man. But now, what makes her most helpless is she can't contact the upper level at all. They said they had to wait for notification because they didn't know the existence of their superiors. Most of them were in single-line contact, and they had a set of secret codes for contact. Such a meticulous operation method made Tsunade panic, because you don't know whether any ordinary person around you is a member of this organization. No one will pay attention to an ordinary person unless this ordinary person is particularly different. This organization is like a big net spread in the ninja world. When the net is closed, it will definitely burst out with unimaginable power. Tsunade was thinking about the power and meaning behind this organization. As for Shizune, in addition to being shocked by the concept, he also thought that this organization was good because he saw many ordinary people being helped by the umbrella organization. To their surprise, the umbrella organization seemed to have a vague connection with the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. It was not conspicuous, but it definitely existed. Lady Tsunade, what should we do now? Shizune said to the somewhat mature woman, looking at Tsunade's chest, and then looking at herself. Why, even the person that Lady Tsunade transformed into was so big. Tsunade's current identity is Kato, Shizune's sister, and because Tsunade is too recognizable, she had to use the transformation technique to become like this. Kato Shizune is the niece of her former lover Kato Dan. Since Tsunade suffered from hemophobia, she has brought Shizune with her to teach. As for the reason why Tsunade left Konoha, was it because of the death of her lover or because of the darkness of the village? I'm afraid only Tsunade herself knows. Anyway, she is already alone, it is better to leave this place that makes Tsunade sad. Don't be anxious, didn't the person before say that they would arrange for us soon? But you, it seems like you've already enjoyed yourself a little bit. Tsunade rolled her eyes at Shizune, whose hands were now covered with cream. It must be said that this organization attaches great importance to talents. When the two of them arrived, they attracted great attention from the person in charge after their self-destruction ability. The two of them forged their origins to be the Kingdom of Rivers, and their mothers had helped a medical ninja from the Kingdom of Whirlpools, so in order to repay them, they left them some medical ninjutsu. Although there are many loopholes, no one has confirmed that some citizens of the Kingdom of Whirlpools did drift into the ninja world. Moreover, in the ninja world, there are many people who have obtained the training methods of ninjas and embarked on the path of wandering ninjas. Hehe, Lady Tsunade, the food here is really good. Shizune said a little embarrassedly. Having followed Tsunade for these years, most of the money was taken by Tsunade to gamble, so the food was naturally a bit worse. Besides, even if it was delicacies from land and sea, it was not as good as the food here at Umbrella. Naruto's arrival brought not only ideas, but also delicious food. This is also a good way to make money. After all, food, clothing, housing and transportation, people basically cannot live without these. The two were still communicating, and suddenly a voice came from a distance. Lady Shizune, we need your help. A man in his 30s ran over, sweating profusely. What happened? Shizune asked in surprise. The old man in our village broke his arm and injured his internal organs. We need your help. If it were a normal case, we wouldn't bother you, but this. Stop talking, let's find out the situation when we get there. The most important thing is to save people first. Shizune said hurriedly. In the past few days, Shizune accidentally treated several ordinary people and promised that anyone who was injured could come to her. Unexpectedly, something really happened. Those people were ordinary people recruited by the Umbrella organization and belonged to the Umbrella Company. In the Naruto world, there are also companies and other systems, such as the Cardo group that appeared in the original work. Shizune followed the man to the place where the old Sentu had an accident. On the way, the man told Shizune what happened. The man was called Yamamoto and had no surname. It turned out that the old Sentu wanted to make more money and work in the Umbrella Company. The salary was quite generous, and overtime could be paid for overtime work, which made the old Sentu, who was originally living in poverty, particularly happy. Every time he worked very hard and often worked overtime. Today, didn't the old Sentu, who often didn't have a good rest, have an accident? He fainted and fell off the bridge. The old Sentu's original name is no longer known, and everyone likes to call him Old Sentu. Since the location was not very far away, the two arrived at the scene in a short while. Everyone gathered together, and Shizune hurriedly called out to everyone to leave quickly. Don't gather together, keep the air circulating. Quick, listen to Master Shizune, get out of the way. These people also knew that Shizune was a ninja, so they quickly stepped back and made room for him. Shizune stepped forward and saw an old man who was about 50 years old lying on the ground with a pool of blood. Shizune hurried forward, first straightened his bones, and finally used healing techniques to connect the bones. What made her frown was that the other party's internal organs were damaged, and there was dirty blood blocking it. After a careful inspection, Shizune used the chakra scalpel to quickly cut open the patient's chest. In order to prevent the other party from waking up, Shizune had used chakra to paralyze half of the other party's body. Ordinary people's injuries are not very difficult for Shizune, who studied under Tsunade. Soon, the old man's wound was sewed up again. This series of operations dazzled everyone present. No wonder they said he was a ninja. Seeing everyone showing a look of relief, Shizune couldn't help but show it. Smile. Perhaps this is the reason why she chose to become a medical ninja. In the distance, Tsunade leaned against a tree, looking at Shizune in the distance with a smile. In the past few days, he also knew that these people were all poor villagers recruited by the Umbrella Organization. Some had some skills, and some could only do some hard labor, but the remuneration was quite good. Although it is not worth mentioning for ninjas, it is already a very generous existence for ordinary people. Is this so-called Umbrella Organization really an umbrella for the people? Tsunade once again became very interested in this organization, and then Tsunade took out the book issued for joining the organization from the scroll she carried with her. There were a few big words written on it, Red Thought. Opening it, you can see that practice is the only criterion for testing truth. Science and technology are the primary productive forces. There are also some words that are specially marked, saying, water can carry a boat, but it can also overturn it. There is also a pacifist policy. There are some small stories on it. In short, it is very detailed, and the content above is all deafening speeches, such as practice is the only criterion for testing truth. And science and technology are the primary productive forces. Tsunade didn't understand what science and technology were, but what shocked Tsunade was the next Ming said, "Who is Ming? Did he propose the Red Thought?" In short, this person named Ming profoundly summarized the root causes of war in the book. War does not come from hatred, but from the uneven distribution of interests. This sentence alone made Tsunade stunned as if she had been enlightened. Tsunade is not stupid. Years of experience made her understand this sentence instantly and fell into deep thought. The book also introduces multiple countries and multiple ideas. The uneven distribution of interests will lead to the seeds of disputes. At the same time, the book also implicitly mentioned that if there is only one country in the world, then it can agree to allocate resources, instead of some places having excess resources and some places being poor. Down. Tsunade's book fell to the ground with a bang. Does the owner of this book think that the one country, one village system of the great-grandfather is wrong? Suddenly, Tsunade picked up the book again and read it again. Tsunade spent the whole day reading. Some of the views in it made her feel greatly shocked, even to the system. Tsunade and Shizune were temporarily classified as blue-level talents, because the red thoughts they issued were different from the previous level, and they began to introduce the existence of ninjas. But there was not much introduction. But one sentence in it made Tsunade agree very much. Ninjutsu originated from life and also from war. Since it can be used for fighting, it can naturally be used in life. And it comes with a ninjutsu, the technique of turning the soil. The name is very simple. It is a ninjutsu related to farming, and it comes with a chakra refining method. This once again made Tsunade's heart churn. What is the purpose of the umbrella? Is it to make the chakra practice method public? In the past few days, Tsunade has been immersed in the book Red Thought, and she even stopped gambling. This surprised Shizune. It turned out that Lady Tsunade would feel uncomfortable if she didn't gamble for a day. Now she is immersed in books. Shizune glanced carefully, and it seemed to be the book they were given when they joined the organization. No way. Shizune joined the Umbrella Organization completely because she was dragged by Tsunade, and Shizune didn't even read the book. Could it be that this organization has brainwashed Tsunade? Shizune has heard that there are some cults in some places that will brainwash people. Could this so-called Umbrella Organization be such an evil organization? Shizune couldn't help but be a little worried, because Tsunade's behavior was too abnormal. Lady Tsunade, are you okay? Shizune asked cautiously, looking at her sitting at a fairly tidy table, leaning her head against the table and flipping through a book. Although she looked beautiful, Shizune felt that something was wrong with Lady Tsunade. Tsunade twirled her fingertips and slowly flipped through the book in front of her. She had read this book many times in the past few days, and every time she read it, she felt that she had gained something different. Looking at Tsunade, who seemed not to have heard, Shizune asked again in a low voice, this time getting closer, Lady Tsunade. Are you okay? This close, even a blind person would know that there was someone next to her. Tsunade heard someone calling her, and suddenly looked up. Is it Shizune? What's wrong? Shizune pointed to the book that Tsunade was reading and said, Lady Tsunade, you have been reading it repeatedly for a few days. I feel that this organization seems a little weird. Tsunade suddenly looked at Shizune, and seeing Shizune's hesitant look, she suddenly seemed to understand something. You little girl, don't you think I've been brainwashed? Tsunade pretended to be angry. Oh no, 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 how could Lady Tsunade be brainwashed? Shizune waved her hands quickly, but the expression on her face betrayed her, and it was obvious that she felt this way. Tsunade rolled her eyes at her and said, Shizune, you will know if you read this book yourself. I feel that this is a path that my great-grandfather has always pursued. Things are really becoming more and more interesting. I can't help but want to see who can come up with such a shocking theory. This is a true pacifist policy. Tsunade, whose mind was opened up, deeply understood how crazy the content written on it would make people, especially those who yearned for peace. They might even use their lives to implement this idea. Some of the theories on it were refreshing for Tsunade. Especially if there was no value, then it was to create value. Resources could also be created instead of being taken from nature. The allocation of resources could make a group more friendly and burst out with amazing unity. It profoundly explains how to create value and the importance of value. Everyone has their own value, and how much value can be created depends on themselves. Tsunade understands this very clearly. For example, a medical ninja, his role on the battlefield is unparalleled and can greatly reduce personnel losses. This is also the reason why she originally proposed to add a medical ninja to the team. But it is not as detailed as the book. And the book says that the control of resources is mostly in the hands of a small number of people, and the opening of resources can create more value, but for some reasons, it cannot be obtained. The book introduces it very deeply, most of which are shallow and core issues. These issues are enough for ordinary people to think about for a long time. Tsunade has a high opinion of the book Red Thought. Shizune couldn't expect Tsunade to identify so deeply with this book, and couldn't help asking, is it really so magical? Yes, it is magical. In Shizune's heart, it is an extremely incredible thing that Tsunade can praise it so much and praise it as the peace policy that the first generation of Hokage has been looking for. Such a high evaluation is rare in the world. Maybe I should also go and see if it is as magical as Tsunade said. Shizune couldn't help thinking. In Konoha village, Naruto had no idea that Tsunade had actually sneaked into the Umbrella Corporation and had such a high reputation. If he knew, he would probably be very happy. After all, Tsunade herself is a top talent. She is also a cage-level master. She is very popular in Konoha and the Land of Fire, and is also a princess named by the Land of Fire, so Tsunade also has the title of Princess Tsunade. As time goes by, Hinata's strength has also begun to improve slowly. Naruto doesn't need Hinata's strength to be strong, but at least it won't be difficult for Hinata to do in the Hyuga family. At least it has to cover up Hanabi. This can also shut up some of the elders of the main family. So as not to talk about Hinata's lack of strength all day long. Hinata is now fighting with Neji. The current Hinata is no longer the Hinata at the beginning. The defense is in order. Hinata learned the main defense part of Tai Chi and integrated it with her own soft fist. And Ningqi's strength has also made great progress. He has comprehended part of the true meaning of Tai Chi, and his gestures have already shown the meaning of combining hardness and softness, and clear distinction. When the Hyuga soft fist is just beginning to be learned, it is easy to cause the phenomenon of steel being easily broken. Only when the soft fist is practiced to a certain level can one experience the realm of combining hardness and softness, and being able to send and receive freely. And Ningqi is obviously close to this realm, and has achieved the effect that others have achieved in decades. And all this is thanks to Naruto, but Ningqi's own talent cannot be ignored. Ningqi's current strength is far higher than Hinata's, but in order to help Hinata train, Ninki suppressed his strength to a very low level, but Hinata's defense also surprised him. It can completely defend against attacks from the same level, and I'm afraid even the return of the sky is not much behind, and this is still Hinata has not practiced to a high level. If you practice the secrets of Tai Chi like Naruto, I'm afraid you can only rely on brute force to break it. Either you exhaust Hinata's physical strength and chakra, otherwise it will be difficult to break Hinata's defense head-on. This is the fighting method that Naruto designed for Hinata based on Hinata's situation and combined with Tai Chi. After a while, Hinata began to pant, and her chakra was almost exhausted. Nechi was in good condition and seemed to have a lot of spare energy. After that, Hinata would come to Naruto for training every now and then, and sometimes she would practice with Nechi. Now Nechi's strength is probably about the same as that of an ordinary Jonin, and the only difference is the Jonin's iron and blood combat experience. And Nechi is only 11 years old now. It's not much different from Shisui when he was young. Thinking of Shisui, Naruto felt more and more that it was the right decision to save Shisui at the beginning. Shisui was just easily fooled, and whoever fooled was not fooled. And Shisui is not stupid, he just didn't think of it in some aspects. It's just that he is lacking. Now Shisui has not only greatly increased his combat power, but also made great progress in his understanding of politics and the overall situation. These days, Hyuga Hiyashi was very surprised by Hinata's changes, especially the changes in Hinata's fighting. Hinata's original punches were soft and her own strength was not fully exerted. Hiyashi was also very troubled. This was caused by her personality. He had no way to deal with his daughter's natural cowardice. The only thing he could do was to strictly require Hinata. But Hinata had no fighting spirit at all. The soft fist she punched was not hard at all, only soft. Even Hanabi, who was 5 years younger than her, couldn't beat her. But recently, Hinata not only began to work hard in training, but also began to become serious in the battle with Hanabi. Although they also stayed behind, Hinata's defense shocked Hyuga Hiyashi. It seemed to be a soft fist, but in fact it looked mysterious. Hanabi was often brought into the rhythm by Hinata, as if mixed into a quagmire. Not only did she not hurt Hanabi, Hinata herself could still stand firmly on the upper hand. But what really surprised Hyuga Hiyashi was that the soft fist method used by Hinata had the shadow of their Hyuga soft fist, but also had another style. Could it be the soft fist method created by Hinata? After a while, Hanabi was already sweating profusely. No more fighting, no more fighting, sister is playing tricks, like a loach, I can't hit her even if I hit her. Wahuo said dissatisfiedly, her pouting little mouth was probably enough to make soy sauce. Well, good performance. What is this soft fist technique? Seeing her usually strict father showing a satisfied look, Hinata's heart couldn't help but surge with some waves. A happy look appeared on her face. Hinata couldn't help but be stunned when she heard her father's question. She thought of Naruto. If it was discovered that it was Naruto who taught her, Naruto would probably be in a very bad position. Will father embarrass Naruto? For a moment, many thoughts flashed through Hinata's little head. Finally, Hinata looked up and said, I created it. Hyuga Hiyashi once again forced out a smile and said, you are worthy of being my daughter, Hyuga Hiyashi. Keep up the good work. Hinata also nodded. After that, she said to Hanabi with a stern face, keep up the good work. Then she turned around and left. Hanabi made a face at Hyuga Hiyashi's back. When Hyuga Hiyashi walked away, Hinata grabbed Hanabi and rolled her eyes, don't be like this, Hanabi. Hanabi ignored him and made a face at Hinata. Hinata looked at Hanabi with caring eyes and rubbed Hanabi's head without saying anything. Sister, what was that move you just did? Can you teach me? Facing Hanabi's question, Hinata was stunned. She didn't expect Hanabi to want to learn Tai Chi from her. Thinking about it carefully, it seems that Naruto-kun didn't say that she couldn't teach others, but this was taught by Naruto-kun, so she could ask him when the time comes. Let me study it when I get back. After all, I'm not sure if I can teach you. Hinata said in a low voice. Humph, didn't your brother-in-law ask you to teach me? Wahuo pouted and tilted her head to one side. What are you talking about? Hinata's face instantly turned red. Tisk tisk tisk, I don't know who it is who always calls Naruto-kun when he's asleep. Although Hanabi is young, she is very clever and looks at Hinata meaningfully. Ah, no. No, Hinata said with a red face. Lululu, my sister is shy. Hanabi. Hinata was immediately a little angry and pursued Hanabi. Seeing this, Hanabi immediately started running, teasing as she ran. After Hinata Hiyashi returned, his serious expression relaxed, but his brows were slightly furrowed. Hey, Hinata, how could Hinata's acting skills fool Hyuga Hiyashi? No one knows a daughter better than her father. Hinata obviously has some unspeakable secrets. But when Hyuga Hiyashi thought that his dear little cotton-padded jacket was beginning to leak, he couldn't help but feel heartbroken. Hinata's soft fist must not be practiced by herself. Such a flexible soft fist requires at least decades of attainments. And Hinata's performance is still very immature. Obviously, this fist has not reached the highest level. The general pioneers will have a proficiency in it that is unmatched by ordinary people. And Hinata has been coming home late for the past few days. Could she be practicing this special fist? But who else can reach this level in soft fist except the Hyuga clan? Hyuga Hiyashi also has deep doubts, but it seems that this situation is still beneficial to them, the Hyuga clan. However, for Hinata's safety, some plans must be made. Hyuga Hiyashi summoned an elite chunin from the branch family and ordered, investigate Hinata's recent itinerary recently. Tell me if there is anything unusual. Yes. The ninja from the branch family knelt on one knee, then used the instant body technique to disappear directly into the room. In the room, under the gloomy candlelight, the shadow of a figure was stretched very long. He knelt on one knee on the ground, wearing a chunin vest. He said in a leisurely tone, "Report to the head of the family, Miss Hinata has been with Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke and Hyuga Neji recently, except for classes." Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. How did they get mixed up? And Neji's nephew? Thinking of the latter, Hyuga Hiyashi's face also showed a trace of guilt. Then he thought about why they got mixed up. It seems that it was just a few children mixed together, but Hyuga Hiyashi knew that this matter was not that simple. Uzumaki Naruto, the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, can be said to be the most important existence in Konoha now. And Uchiha Sasuke, the orphan of the Uchiha family, has a very sensitive identity. As for Neji, although he was only a member of the branch family, he was the son of his younger brother and the top student of his class. It stands to reason that he should not be mixed up with Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, who were one class apart. Hinata Hiyashi frowned, constantly thinking about the connection, and he did not notice that his subordinate had a strange light flashing in his eyes. In the back mountain, on the training ground, Naruto was gathering with Sasuke and Neji, while Lee was still training with Might Guy. "Naruto, why did Lord Hiyashi send someone to investigate us?" Ningji said. "Don't you have the answer in your mind?" Naruto said, looking at Neji with a smile. Neji touched his head and said with a smile, "I just want to hear your analysis." Since temporarily getting rid of the threat of the bird in the cage, Neji has become much more cheerful. Is this something that needs to be analyzed? Hinata's strength has improved so quickly, and with the unfamiliar Tai Chi, it would be strange if he didn't investigate. Naruto said, "By the way, Naruto, what is your purpose in controlling Hinata Sosuke?" Stupid. The organization is already short of manpower, not to mention reconnaissance talents like Hyuga. Naruto must want a few Hyuga talents. Sasuke said coldly. Although he looked down on Hyuga's bloodline limit, the Sharingan was no match for the Byakugan in terms of reconnaissance. Humph. Nechi turned his head away and snorted coldly. The two of them usually didn't get along and often said sarcastic things. This was not the first time, but they were still very reliable at critical moments. Nechi was too lazy to explain. Didn't he know? He just wanted to ask Naruto about his plan. The organization is quite short of manpower recently, especially reconnaissance talents. Naruto touched his chin and looked up thinking. By the way, Ninki, have you contacted the people from the branch family? Naruto suddenly said, "Not yet. I'm afraid of alerting the enemy. No one can guarantee that they will not reveal us." Neji waved his hand. He was telling the truth, and Sasuke nodded. After all, Naruto's existence is too important. In Konoha village, they are walking on thin ice and dare not relax at any time. Well, it's always better to be cautious. Neji, you can do this. First trick them out, but don't reveal my existence. Then control them. Then help them get in touch with the control of the caged bird. Let them take a long-term mission outside the village, and let them help Shisui and the others. Just come back regularly. Naruto spoke slowly, and Neji began to think about it. He felt that this was very safe, and the risk of him and others being exposed was very small. Otherwise, if they were exposed now, he and Sasuke had practiced very hard, and now they were only ordinary Jonin. There were a lot of such people in Konoha, and they were still limited by their physical fitness. As for Naruto, his current strength is unknown, but he is not the opponent of so many people in Konoha, so hiding now is necessary, just for a better tomorrow. No problem, but in order to prevent it from being too abrupt, I can only win over 2 or 3 people. It's enough. After all, they don't have to go out to fight. Naruto nodded. Another training ground. At this moment, green energy bloomed around Shaoli. This was the reason for the agitation of life energy. Shaoli had already opened 3 gates at this moment. This was the 8 gates of Dunjia that Might Guy taught Shaoli. It was an extremely dangerous forbidden physical technique, but it was also a powerful amplification physical technique. There were 8 gates in total, and each time a gate was opened, the corresponding power would be gained. The first gate was the opening gate. After opening the opening gate, the restrictions on the brain area could be lifted. While overloading the body's energy, the strength and speed could be greatly improved. At this time, the lotus flower could be used. The opponent could be kicked away with a high-speed continuous kick, and the opponent could be quickly behind the opponent, and the opponent could be tied up with a bandage. After high-speed rotation, the opponent could be violently hit to the ground. The second gate was the rest gate. After opening the rest gate, the restrictions on physical fatigue could be lifted, and the body's energy could be overloaded to restore physical strength, offsetting the fatigue caused by the speed of energy consumption when opening the gate. At this time, the strongest move was still the lotus flower, which could be used in conjunction with physical techniques such as Shadow Dance Leaf and Konoha Great Tornado. This stage would not endanger life. This stage was developed to solve the side effects after opening the gate. The third gate was the life gate. After opening the life gate, the strength and speed are further improved. At the same time, the body begins to become red with blood. The life gate is the last safe zone of the 8 gates. The body begins to emit green energy, which is the basis for the use of Li Lianhua. Li Lianhua can hit the opponent at a speed exceeding the speed of sound, and has great lethality. At this gate, the power of cells in the body has begun to be used, and it has begun to have a strong lethality. The fourth gate is the wound gate. After opening the wound gate, the strength is increased again on the basis of the life gate. This stage begins to be the dangerous stage of the 8 gates. It is the 8 gates in the true sense. The speed is very fast and can increase the attack intensity of Li Lianhua. Xiao Li in the original work, after using this wound gate, his veins swelled. His own body and strength have also been improved to a terrifying level. The 5th gate is the Do gate. After opening the Do gate, the speed of the ninja will reach the critical value, enough to drive the air to lift the ground when moving, but it is very heavy on the body. A whole human turret. The power is extremely great when it is casually attacked. In the original work, Shaoli opened the 5th gate and directly pressed Gaara to blast. If Gaara's sand hadn't been too foul, and if Li hadn't been too burdened, Gaara wouldn't have won. At that time, Li's strength had already reached the level of a Jonin. Among the 12 Konoha ninjas at that time, no one could have blocked Li's attacks except for cheating. After all, Gaara had been assassinated since he was a child, and some of Shukaku's abilities could be used. Although Gaara was young at that time, the missions he had performed were not comparable to Li and others, and there were more than 1 or 2 Jonin who died in his hands. The 6th gate, Jingmun. After opening the Jingmun, you can enter a semi-open buffer state, that is, maintain the green energy emitted after opening the door, but the body does not change at all to reduce its own consumption load and damage. When needed, you can instantly open your full combat power. It is the basis for performing the peacock, and attack the enemy by rubbing the air to generate flames. In the original work, Might Kelly easily defeated Kisame with this trick. You must know that Kisame is not an ordinary shadow-level ninja. That's the man known as the tailless-tailed beast. The 7th gate, Jingmun. The shock gate is the last gate before the death gate. The body begins to emit blue steam generated by the evaporation of sweat. After it is released, even if the body is slightly touched, it will be extremely painful. At this time, you can use the Day Tiger to attack the enemy with a concentrated ultra-high-speed punch, forming a tiger-shaped air cannon with powerful power. This gate is close to the death gate, and the pressure on the body has reached an unimaginable level. At the same time, the power has reached a terrible level. From the original work, Kisame has almost no power to fight back. It can be seen that Might Guy, who used this move, may have reached the super shadow level, but the burden is too great to use it frequently. The pain after the release alone is not something that ordinary people can bear. The 8th Death Gate. The peak state of the 8 gates of Dunjia, because burning life will produce red steam, with a power that is more than dozens of times that of the 5 shadows. At this time, the strongest move is Night Guy, which uses a superpower that is enough to distort space to kick the opponent fatally, which is very burdensome to the body. During the Third World War, Might Guy's father once opened the 8 gates of Dunjia. Directly kicked the 7 ninja swordsmen to pieces. The power is estimated to have reached the super shadow level. It is expected to be above Might Guy's 7th gate. And now Might Guy has already surpassed his father, and the power of the 8 gates is even stronger, and he almost kicked out the finale. And next to Xiao Li, there are 2 other men, one is Might Guy, and the other is Kakashi. At this moment, Xiao Li's performance moved the two. Especially Kakashi, as Might Guy's best friend, he knows how high the 8 gates requires for human physical strength. Now Xiao Li has surpassed Might Guy of the same period. I knew this kid would succeed. Might Guy showed Kakashi his sparkling white teeth. And gave him a thumbs up. Kakashi also agreed and said, well, this is indeed possible. They all saw Li's efforts, and Li was able to open the first 3 gates of the 8 gates at such a young age. Although the requirements for these gates are not high, being able to open the first 3 gates at this age is considered a good talent in physical skills. As for genius, that's still a bit short. After all, they were already fighting on the battlefield when they were younger than Li. Just as the two were talking, suddenly a sound came. Green energy surrounded Xiao Li, veins on his forehead bulged, the surroundings began to burst, and his skin turned blood red. His expression was ferocious. What was this? Xiao Li actually opened the 4th gate of injury. The 4th gate has exceeded the safety limit of the 8 gates of Dunjia, and greatly increases the power on the basis of the life gate. However, the side effects of this level of 8 gates of Dunjia also began to appear. Immortal Golden Body. Open the injury gate. Xiao Li used the Immortal Golden Body to strengthen his body. After entering the 4th gate of the 8 gates of Dunjia today, Xiao Li felt that his strength had increased exponentially and the power continued to emerge. However, the first time he entered the injury gate, he could feel that the injury gate was damaging his body, accompanied by pain. This is the price of gaining power. Xiao Li punched the ground, and a big hole appeared immediately. Swish. Xiao Li, stop using the 8 gates. Quick. Might Guy and Kakashi appeared beside Xiao Li one after the other. After hearing what Might Guy said, Xiao Li hurriedly stopped, although he still wanted to continue to try the power after opening the 4th gate of the 8 gates. He felt that after using the indestructible golden body, the burden brought by the 4th gate seemed to be slightly more than the 3rd gate, and it was completely unable to reach the pressure that Might Guy said. Xiao Li, don't force yourself. Forcing yourself into the 8 gates will put you in danger. Might Guy said worriedly. Xiao Li was about to say something, but when he saw Might Guy's concerned expression, he swallowed his words. Hokage, you are too concerned. There are traces of another kind of taijutsu on Xiao Li's body, and it can be superimposed with the 8 gates. Not only is the endurance greatly enhanced, but even the side effects are much smaller. Kakashi looked at Xiao Li with deep eyes, as if he had seen through everything. Xiao Li's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect Kakashi to be able to see through his background. He was worthy of being called a ninja with great wisdom by Naruto. You were right, I was too anxious. After observing, Kai calmed down. He also found that there was a special aura on Xiao Li, which made him stronger. Especially after feeling Xiao Li's body, Xiao Li was not as bad as he imagined. He has always found that Xiao Li's basic physical skills are very good. He originally thought that Xiao Li had a family inheritance, but Xiao Li is an orphan. Although Might Guy is a bit nervous, he is also careful. Xiao Li has his own secrets, and he didn't ask. After all, everyone has their own secrets. Kakashi took a deep look at Xiao Li, and his deep eyes made Xiao Li feel like he was seen through. Could it be that Mr. Kakashi, who is called 50 to 50 by Naruto and has white hair due to kidney deficiency, knows that he is hiding his strength? Xiao Li thought to himself, feeling a little guilty when being looked at by Kakashi. Xiao Li with thick eyebrows and big eyes has also become bad after being influenced by Naruto. As for Kakashi, he is not what Xiao Li imagined, but Kakashi knows that what Xiao Li knows is probably from Naruto. After all, since he overheard the truth from Naruto, he has paid more attention to Naruto. Xiao Li often practices with Naruto, and he knows that Naruto's real strength is not simple, but Might Guy doesn't know it. But why would Might Guy be entangled in this regard? Suddenly Kakashi said, "Xiao Li, I wonder if I can make a deal with you. I will use my lightning release ninjutsu S-level Reikiri to exchange your method of practicing physical skills." Kakashi, you. Might Guy was a little bit unbelievable. Kakashi actually said such a thing. It was a bit abrupt, and it was not a very polite thing. Although Kakashi was sincere, it was an S-level lightning ninjutsu. How many S-level ninjutsu are there in the ninja world? It is simply rare. And as an elder, it is a very embarrassing thing for Kakashi to ask a junior for a deal. Is Kakashi really weird recently? Not only did he take the initiative to fight with him, but also asked him for advice on the 8 Gates ninjutsu, and he also picked up the old White Fang sword technique again. In Might Guy's opinion, Kakashi has completely walked out of the shadow of the past and wants to become stronger. Kakashi, my dear friend, you did a good job. He gave a thumbs up and showed his iconic teeth. The white teeth looked a little dazzling in the sunlight. Kakashi looked at Might Guy. Did you misunderstand something? Kakashi did start to practice hard, but because the Sharingan continued to absorb his chakra, Kakashi's chakra was not much, so it was impossible to practice ninjutsu and develop ninjutsu. Because it won't be long before there is no chakra, and if you want to make further progress in your strength, you can only make progress in physical skills. Therefore, Kakashi picked up the White Fang sword technique that he had given up. Not only that, Kakashi also asked Might Guy about the practice of the 8 Gates of ninjutsu. Although he had learned it before, he only opened the first gate. He didn't plan to develop in this area before, and although it is very late to practice physical skills now, as long as he can open the first 4 gates of the 8 Gates of ninjutsu, plus the Sharingan and the White Fang sword technique, Kakashi's strength is also firmly at the level of Kage. And Kakashi's the purpose is very clear. After his investigation, his father's death is related to one person, that is Shimura Danzo. Although Kakashi had already known it because he had eavesdropped on Naruto's words before, what he found out by himself made him believe it more, didn't he? And if he wants to get justice for his dead father from Danzo, he can't do it without strength. Moreover, there are many root ninjas around Danzo. Before, Uchiha Shisui opened the Mangekyo and was not Danzo's opponent. Kakashi can only think of ways to become stronger, even if it is asking the younger generation. He knows that Rock Lee is a physical ninja, but he knows that Uchiha Sasuke in Naruto's small group needs lightning release ninjutsu, and his own Reikiri and Chidori are a perfect match with the Sharingan. Based on his observations, they will agree. Before Rock Lee could speak, Might Guy said, "Kakashi, although you have become more motivated during this period, my disciple, like me, does not know ninjutsu. I believe that he can become a great ninja even if he doesn't know any ninjutsu or illusion." Kakashi ignored Might Guy and said, "If you figure it out, you can come to this training ground to find me." Then, he turned around and started practicing. He must seize the time to become stronger. "Kakashi, my dear friend, let's compete in training." Full of passion, Might Guy couldn't help but feel excited when he saw Kakashi's current state. Kakashi, who was obsessed with training, was better than reading the works of Master Jiraiya. Might Guy joined the training happily. Lee, who stayed behind, was thoughtful. Might Guy didn't care about the deal between them at all. He believed in Kakashi and Lee. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.